else. Come on and party.
Doing shots, you say?
Woohoo! Yeah. We're doing shots. Yeah, the three of them do a shot at the end of the video. And meanwhile, the actual information is just never really brought to the top of the stack.
We are still...
I'm sorry, I should say who this is. This is Admiral Brett Giroir. He is the Assistant Secretary for Health and Human Services.
We are still very early in understanding, all the evidence isn't there, so I want to caveat that. But to set some foundation, the typical mortality...
Caveat that.
Is that
wow,
bad?
What a usage.
What are you supposed to say?
I would like to add a caveat. A caveat is a noun. A noun is I would like to add.
Oh,
a caveat.
You can't. Well,
you don't caveat something. It's
right.
Turning it into a verb. Give me a break. I mean, that is classic.
He's trying to do a Google move, turning a noun into a verb. I got it.
We are still very early in understanding, all the evidence isn't there, so I want to caveat that. But to set some foundation, the typical mortality rate for seasonal flu is about 0.1% or 0.15%. The best estimates now of the overall mortality rate for COVID-19 is somewhere between 0.1% and 1%, okay? That's lower than you heard probably in many reports. Why is this? Number one is because many people don't get sick and don't get tested. So probably and this reflects the overseas experience, so probably for every case, there are at least 2 or 3 cases that are not in the denominator. So I just want to sort of scale that it's certainly could be higher than normal flu. It probably is, but it's not likely in the range of 2 to 3%. So our best modeling, again, you have a denominator problem, and I want you to understand that only the people who are really sick or have symptoms come in and get tested. So based on the models we have right now, we estimate the mortality as 0.1 to 1%.
Yeah, of course, no one wants to look at their models because that's only good for climate change.
Yeah, models. Computer models.
Yeah.
Now, the last show, I believe it was the last show, the show before, I had a clip, 2 clips in a row to point out the idiocy of this whole thing, which one guy says, it's 3.5%.
Oh, yeah, the Harvard professor, the expert.
And then the expert came out. Well, there was somebody else said 3.5%. Then the expert came out using that data and his own data, the expert, who predicted by the calculations, by the numbers he just threw out, we calculated it, 10 million dead.
Yeah.
Now, they get this money. All this money shows up, a bunch of free money. And now we go from the 3.5 and 10 million dead to, it's kind of maybe worse than the flu. A lot of people have it. They don't
30 days, John. 30 days. 30 days, and it's all over. It'll all be over. In fact, on MSNBC, they're already done with the death and destruction part. They're moving straight on to politicization. And this is that Princeton professor, Eddie Glaude, real smug prick.
But I was thinking about this in terms of politics, right?
Right. That's how professors at Princeton talk, right?
But I was thinking about this in terms of politics, right? We talked about the business community finally not kind of sticking with Donald Trump. But this may be, and Nicole, I should mention this with a little trepidation, but this may be Donald Trump's Katrina.
Yeah, you don't have to trepidation because my role in that. I mean, let's just
living in Africa amid the coronavirus outbreak, which we might want to note again is not in Africa. Although Uganda has, what did Uganda do? Uganda cancels all international conferences, issues travel ban. Lombardy now, in Italy, a little north of where my sister Willow lives, they're on lockdown. And another one of those Illuminati numbers, 11 million people, just like Wuhan. 11 million people are shut in, locked down. So we'll see how that goes.
I missed that story. Jack Dorsey, with his Taliban beard, is going to rush off to Africa because he's afraid of the. What is wrong with these people?
He was going. He had this plan to move like I think a second headquarters or something. He wanted to do something in Africa because his Swami told him to. I don't know. And now he's rethinking that. Isn't that what we used to have Swamis?
Yeah,
back in the 70s.
Yeah,
your Swami.
He probably has a Swami.
I bet he does. United Nations. I'm just reading through the headlines. United Nations refuses to call coronavirus outbreak a pandemic, so that we know that's still based upon the pandemic bonds, which they don't want to trigger. And I think they won't be triggered because now the U.S. the one thing Donald Trump is always bitching about, that we're the ones ponying up. Here we are. Not the bondholders, not Germany, not Japan. No, we're going to pay for it because we got more than $1 billion going overseas. More than that, actually. And let's see. Back that NPR interview.
And to be clear, is this all domestic spending, or is there any money being offered to other countries that are dealing with the outbreak?
Yeah, so this is interesting. The Trump White House did not request any funding for an international response. The head of the coronavirus task force and Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar actually told Congress they were focusing on the homeland. But Congress in this law did include over $1 billion for the international response. And that could be used, for instance, to help low and middle income countries shore up their resources to be able to contain or mitigate outbreaks. Experts I talked to were really pleased and quite actually relieved to see this funding in there.
It's shameful. There's a pandemic preparedness fund funded fully, ready to go. All the World Health Organization has to do is say, yeah, it's at that level. And I think the numbers are there because it's specific numbers. But no, we'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. These jackasses in Congress, man.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. It really is.
If you were on the other side of the fence getting all this free money, you wouldn't be bitching and moaning.
It's interesting you say that because, of course, power and money corrupts. I started watching the long-touted and perfectly timed Hillary Clinton documentary on Hulu.
Yeah.
And it's 4 hours. So I've only watched the first hour, and I must say, that whole first hour, you can't help but be a fan of Hillary Clinton in that moment. Because she seems like such a genuine person, a true fighter for women, very daring.
Good work.
She did a lot. It is extremely well done. You do not get even a slight whiff of the corruption. Something bad happened to her.
You have to, Bill.
Yes, I think you're right. I think it is exactly what happened.
Now, you have to watch all 4 hours now that you watched the first hour.
Of course. Have you seen any of it?
It's possible that sometimes you can blow it. You can do what you just described is like, wow, this is great. I'd vote for her. She's the best. Mm-hmm. And then after a while it starts to wear on you. And after 4 hours, maybe, I don't know. I don't care for her. It's possible that they can't sustain that. If they can sustain that feeling that you achieved within the 1 hour period as a filmmaker, and they can do that for 4 hours, wow. Yeah. They can run her.
Well, okay. So again, this was incredibly well timed. We have just the perfect, and I'm sure you have some Biden stuff. We have the perfect potential.
But before we go switch gears completely, I wanted to play some Hillary stuff. Total update.
I wanted to play some
total update on COVID-19.
You still have that? Is it really worth it? Is it more than I just did? It will add?
No, it's in a different dimension.
The food
what
and
you
drug
just did is actually something reasonable. This is just the COVID is going to kill us all, continued, but it's kind of backing off a little bit. This was the mainstream media via PBS on Saturday with Hari Srinivasan reporting, and it's a lot different than what you gave us. I mean, it's not better.
The Food and Drug Administration is rapidly expanding the distribution of test kits to detect cases of the new coronavirus across the country. Vice President Mike Pence made the announcement in Florida today at a briefing with health officials.
At the present moment,
Now, was this before the bill was signed, or you don't know?
No, this is yesterday.
Oh, okay.
distributed more than 1 million tests, and in cooperation with those same commercial labs that I mentioned, we'll be expanding access to tests in the weeks ahead to every American.
Even with more kits, there are concerns about the capacity of different states to test people as the number of cases increase, how that data will be gathered and reported. There are nearly 400 total confirmed cases in the U.S., according to Johns Hopkins University, which is tracking the spread globally. Florida officials reported 2 deaths from COVID-19. Both people who died were elderly. That brings the total number of deaths in the U.S. to 19. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo declared a state of emergency after 21 new confirmed cases today.
We have now been
also going after the money,
testing around the clock, as you know. We are aggressively testing, following up leads, because we want to find as many people who test positive so we can get them out of circulation.
The Grand Princess.
That's a great concept. I'm sorry, Mr. Curry, you've been taken out of circulation.
And as many people who test positive so we can get them out of circulation.
The Grand Princess cruise ship remains off the coast of Northern California with its 21 confirmed cases of the virus, among the more than 3,500 people on board. As of this afternoon, officials have not said when or where the ship will be allowed to dock. In Egypt, a cruise ship on the Nile River with 100 foreign tourists is in quarantine in the city of Luxor. 33 people have tested positive for COVID-19 on that ship. In southeastern China, a hotel collapsed today, trapping about 70 people. Officials say the hotel was being used to quarantine people who had contact with COVID-19 patients.
Is this just intended to raise the blood pressure of their audience? I mean, this is like just going down a list of, not more than
Italy reported its biggest daily increase in virus cases.
What?
I say, as you say that, it continues.
Jeez.
Infections now total more than 5,800 people, and 36 people have died there from the virus in the past 24 hours. In Iran, 21 people have died from the virus just since yesterday, one of them a member of parliament. The number of confirmed cases in Iran is also more than 5,800 people. U.S. health officials continue to caution that the immediate risk of being exposed remains low and that the majority of people who contract COVID-19 will have flu-like symptoms and will recover.
Wow, thanks for putting some actual info at the very end. Oh, my goodness. All right, I'm closing the door on this sucker.
When I step up in China, I step correct. Wuhan! From the North China Plain all the way to Quebec. Wuhan!
All right. Back to Hillary for a moment. The woman does fascinate. So just the release date of this documentary, it is all about her running for president, from what I can tell. And, of course, she's doing the rounds, and she showed up on Fallon. And, of course, we needed to talk about the current 2020 candidates and the primary for the Democrats, and it's always interesting to check in and see what HRC is thinking.
What do you think of that?
I thought it was very exciting because starting in South Carolina, he had so much energy, and what he had to say was, really enthusiastic and positive, and about what he was going to do and who he was. And the people of South Carolina obviously rewarded that. And then that kind of set off this momentum, and it carried him. He won all but, 3 states.
Yeah. Why do you think people connect with Joe Biden?
Look, I've known him for a really long time. I think people know he is a deeply decent person. He is a kind person. He doesn't take cheap shots at people. He doesn't insult people as a way of, trying to put people down and lift himself up. He is such the opposite of what we currently have in the White House that I think, I really think a lot of people, had a chance to think about it as this contest got going and decided, boy, the most important thing is we retire the incumbent. That's more important than anything else. And he has the experience. He knows what needs to be done. He can repair the damage that he would be inheriting. So I think that's what was going on in people's minds. Yeah.
Now, Hillary is clearly talking about herself here. She doesn't believe a word of that when it comes to Joe Biden. And she does her disgusting Russia dance one more time.
The candidates also have to be willing to admit Russia interfered last time. They're interfering this time.
Yeah.
We know that. Even the Trump administration has to admit that. So the propaganda.
It's just not true. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Did we not miss that was overstated and it was what the actual intelligence report said was that Russia wouldn't mind if Trump was reelected so that because they felt they could deal with him? Wasn't that the actual intelligence reporting?
Putin's calling the shots, man.
And the Trump administration has to admit that. So the propaganda, the lies, the disinformation, the theft of information, and all of that went on last time is going to be back. And so it's not only the candidates, although they have to be prepared to take it on, but voters need to be aware of all that.
Oh, yeah. What advice do you have to the voters?
Okay. Hello, stupid people of America. Your queen now tells you what to do.
Really pay attention. Don't get fooled by the propaganda. Just because something pops up in your Facebook feed, don't think it's true. I'm really very sad that Facebook has said we're not going to take down false information. Candidates, and particularly Trump, is doing this. You can pay to put lies on Facebook, and that's really slickly.
Whoa. Is there a portal for that?
Is there a dashboard I can go to where I can put lies on Facebook?
Particularly Trump is doing this. You can pay to put lies on Facebook, and that's really slickly produced. People think it's true. Really be skeptical about what's coming in that Facebook feed, or really any kind of social media information that you get, because so much of it is manipulated. You don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it from, do you think, is there other people besides Russia? Is there other countries? Or?
Well, we know from the intelligence that's been shared that Iran tried to mess with the primary.
Did I miss another report? Iran tried to mess with the primary.
They did?
She says,
when was this?
She says, we know.
Which primary?
I don't know.
What is she? Is she still read in to everything? Is she top secret? I mean,
I guess she has clearance. I don't know, but this one was new to me.
The intelligence that's been shared that Iran tried to mess with the primary. But if you were a foreign adversary of ours, or if you just wanted to mess around with us, why wouldn't you try? Because it worked last time. So, hey, get in there and try to pretend you're for somebody else, or pretend you're, a certain kind of citizen and you have a certain set of beliefs and you try to, gin something up. So, yeah, I think all of that's going to go on and is going on as we speak.
Oh, thank you, Hillary, for our Intel update. Luckily, over at the Hulu premiere, someone actually asked the question that would be on my mind.
Because the most important thing for our country, not just for the Democrats, all Americans, is to defeat Donald Trump. That's what I'm going to be working toward.
And Joe Biden had a big night last night. Would you consider being his VP if he asked?
Oh, I'm not even thinking about that. I was very pleased that we had a huge turnout. People really are focused on beating Trump, and that's what they should be focused on.
Interesting how she answers the question by saying, I'm not really thinking about that.
Well, why do you say that?
Because she could have just said no. She always has to leave it in the middle. And we all know, we all know that
say no.
We all know
that said no.
She could have just said no.
Yeah.
But of course, we got a clue from Amy Klobuchar.
That is a sign of lying.
Of course. Well,
the simplest thing you do is you say no.
Or you just say Iran. I don't know. It's fine.
Iran.
They got new technology over there. So this is the clip. I found the clip of Amy Klobuchar apparently gaffing out by saying that she was happy to join the Biden ticket. Now, I'd
congratulate you for finding this because I could not find this clip.
Oh, yeah. Well, it irritated me. Whenever I see an article and there's, it states something with quotes and there's just a picture, I go looking.
Yeah, I went looking too, but then about halfway through, I said, wait a minute. This is out there so much. Adam will start looking and he'll find it. I'm done.
And I said that day, I could not think of a better way to end my candidacy, as hard as that was to do with our beloved staff and everyone else, than to join the Joe Biden. Kidding. I was going to say, you guys,
I'm sorry, you're misgendering us.
I was going to say, you guys.
No, you can't say guys. There's women here too.
I was going to say, you guys. I was going to say that to join the terrific campaign of Joe Biden.
What do you think? Trial balloon, actual
test market.
Trial balloon test marketing.
No, I think she was given the opportunity, and I mean, my pick is Grisham from New Mexico as the vice president,
which the former New York banker likes that idea, by the way.
It's a very good idea.
Yeah, he liked it.
But this is it's a possibility that the Democrats, Biden's got nothing to do with it. He doesn't even know what room he's in. Somebody went up to Amy and said, "Look, you got to bail out. We'll give you the vice presidency." And then Joe's probably not long for this world, and we can. So
you think that she got it? You really think that they asked her?
Well, the reason that when she did the gaffe, she goes, "I did ticket," and then she instead of saying if she was like, "Oh, I gave it away," or it was a gaffe, or it was actually a gaffe, she would have said, yeah, Joe, I didn't join the ticket, but believe me, I would if I was given the opportunity, because that's how much I like this guy, Joe Biden.
Right.
She wouldn't have gotten so flustered, because it's probably a lot of this is based on confidentiality agreements and all the rest, and she can't say anything.
Yeah.
So I think that they've offered it to her. On a contingency basis. She may have blown it right there. That's why she was so nervous.
Yes.
She got all flustered because, oh my God, now they're going to take it away from me.
We did get a quote from her after that gaffe. Here she is.
Don't eat me, Bo Jordan. You're scary. So scary.
Sorry.
Yes, indeed. And so I think, it's a possibility. And that would, of course, it takes Grisham out of the picture. And it would explain why Amy just bailed so quickly and left the war and it hung out to dry, as it were.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what. She's beside herself now, Warren is, because she can't. Because the party's on her case too. There's people over there saying to her, "Let's face it, you can't. You can't endorse Bernie." Here's the thing: he's not even a member of the party. You understand? And by the way, you and him got into this beef. Do you remember that? He called you a liar and all the rest. And so you have a good excuse not to endorse him. Throw it to Joe.
Who do you think has the better relationship with the unions? Should be Bernie, I would presume, right?
There's no evidence of this. Biden is old school Democrat, old union guy.
Well, I'll tell you why I asked.
Big. I'm talking about big unions.
Yeah. I'm talking United Auto Workers. Is that big?
It's as big as it is. Yeah, it's one of the biggest.
Well, so I've
been a member twice, I might add.
Well, here's my question. I find it incredibly coincidental that after 5 years, they've been working on this case, just 4 days, with a weekend, 4 days before the primary in Michigan, we have this story.
The United States of
Michigan, of course, Detroit, Michigan, Motor City.
The United States of America is charging Mr. Jones with one count of conspiracy to embezzle union funds and conspiracy to aid racketeering activity.
This is the former United Auto Workers chief who has been indicted for these horrible crimes. Listen to them.
And one count of conspiracy to defraud the United States by failing to pay taxes on over $1 million that he and his cohorts stole from the UAW. The allegations are that in connection with his UAW roles, Mr. Jones conspired with other UAW officials to steal over $1 million in UAW money and property. Instead of that cash and property going to help the men and women of the union, Mr. Jones spent it on his own personal enjoyment and on the whims of other high-ranking union officials. Mr. Jones, together with UAW officials Vance Pearson and Edward Robinson, spent UAW money on items that the workers of the union could scarcely afford. These improper expenses were completely unrelated to union business, such as luxury condos and villas in California, lavish dinners at expensive restaurants, premium liquor, 5 sets of custom-made golf clubs specially designed by a golf pro, horseback riding on the beach.
Now, there's a couple more in here, but yes, I found it here. The United Auto Workers endorsed Bernie Sanders. So the way I read this is Bernie Sanders. You really want, this is the guy who works with these people, but these people is your unions. You want, oh, this is horrible, and look at what they're doing. And I love the specification of these horrible crimes.
Designed by a golf pro, horseback riding on the beach. Over $100,000 in golf green fees, golf clothing, sunglasses, and tips for caddies.
Tips.
Over $60,000 in high-end cigars, humidors, and cigar paraphernalia. Over $8,000 in spa treatments for UAW officials and their spouses. And much, much more.
I'm thinking we got to find us a union. Sounds like party.
This is really a great clip.
They're doing this to screw Bernie.
Well, let's analyze that for a moment.
Okay.
The golf, the emphasis on golf, of course, is elitist Trump.
Yep. Oh yeah. Trump. Yeah. Trump. Yeah.
It's just like elitist Trump. Horseback riding on the beach. This is not what a union man would do. It's just showing some effete.
It would have been better if he said romantic horseback rides on the beach.
This is part of the. It's kind of like a reverse smear to make Bernie an elitist, and all these socialists, they want to take your money and they're going to use it for their own pleasure, and which is what you wanted, the kind of argument you want to sell people, and to kill this idea of socialists being anything but assholes stealing your money, and then they're driving around the big luxury cars and they're making you do all the work
and tips for caddies.
And tips for caddies. and so this is really, and again, it would and the party that would be tight with the a lot of dimensions are the upper echelons of the Democrats. Yes. And that this would be the way to go. This is a fantastic clip, and you're right. It's all about Bernie. It's all about embarrassing Bernie in some awkward way. And once they gave the endorsement to Bernie, there's no reason the UAW should endorse Bernie. By the way. That I can tell. There's nothing connected to.
And when one of us has a really great clip and the other one appreciates it, what do we do?
Well, what we do usually, but as you mentioned one time ago, that if somebody actually asks for it.
Zij die vragen worden overgeslagen. If you ask, you get skipped. All right.
So,
well, you're mean.
Okay, give yourself the clip of the day.
Thank you. Everyone's calling for it, man.
Clip of the day.
So I want to get back to this analysis of Biden. That was great, by the way. That was one of the best out of the blue things. These guys are when these guys, which I said, by the way, a month ago, when the Democrat elites decide that they don't want Bernie, they're not getting Bernie's done. I mean, this makes the thing they did with Hillary, where they just had a few memos about how to screw Bernie. This makes it look like that looks like Sunday school compared to what we were witnessing here. This is dynamite. This is real professional.
It's high-end stuff. I mean, they got a
high-end. We're getting rid of this guy.
Yeah, they got a U.S. attorney to roll it out. And with those words, to really, not just embezzled funds. No. Let's really spell it out what these horrible wrecks of human beings have done with your money.
Yeah, your money. Yeah. Now, we talked about Brooks on the PBS NewsHour going on about how Bernie had the message and nobody could beat him. And then, now this is a week goes by. The next thing you know, Bernie's in the toilet and Biden, the gaffe machine, and I have a bunch of them today.
Yes.
Is kicking his ass. So what is Brooks going to say? So this is his thing explaining it. He's kind of baffled by it. He's always baffled, this guy. He was baffled by Trump right to the end. So let's go with Brooks on the Dems community shift.
I've never seen anything like it. It was in the 48 hours after South Carolina, the polls were moving so fast. Some pollsters were saying that polls that were 12 hours old were obsolete. And it was a spontaneous move by millions of people all around the country in different demographics,
spontaneous,
turning as one and reaching the same conclusion that it's got to be Joe Biden. And why they didn't do that 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I think first, Super Tuesday forced a decision on a lot of voters all at once. Second, you had an amazing act of political selflessness. Amy Klobuchar could have won Minnesota, and it would have been a nice feather in her bonnet. And she said, no, I would be selfish. And Pete Buttigieg did the same. And so you had a party establishment, frankly, doing the right thing. But more important was the rank and file voters who just, they looked at the reality, and like a community is more than just a bunch of individuals. A community, people have common values, they sense each other's movements. And I really think the Democratic Party acted like a community, moving all at one moment.
A community.
Now, a couple of things that are interesting that we're going to witness as we continue on this married journey. The media has decided, since the media is part of the Democrat Party, they have decided to cover up Joe's gaffes. Now, I'm going to refer back to my essay that was linked in the newsletter a couple of newsletters ago, which is that this is really all about the money, because they've already given up. Maybe Biden could win, but it's who cares? We don't want to lose the money.
They need the money for the down ballot candidates and
all the down ballot people. And they're going to lose it all if Bernie gets nominated. So they're going after him. Yeah. And here's this is my favorite clip, which I think should be kept around. This is because especially for your use. This is Brooks on Bloomberg Advertising. I want to play this with it in mind that the newspapers and magazines and everybody's always, promoting the idea how advertising works and how it works so well. And then we hear, of course, this is on PBS, so there's no advertisers involved. You probably would have not heard this analysis on any of the network stations.
On Bloomberg, I started this thinking you can't buy your way in votes in a presidential election. There's too much free media. Good ads don't do it. And I think there's a lot of political science evidence to this, that advertising, especially in a high-profile campaign, just does not work. And Bloomberg did not help himself in the debate, but I don't think ads enough to get you votes.
Well, hold on a second. Is that just television, or is it all his Facebook and Instagram stuff? 'Cause I don't know, man. The Russians did pretty well with $110,000. I got to keep saying that. This blows people away.
Russians did great with $110,000. And by the way, don't forget Citizens United and the Koch brothers.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
How come you don't bring those guys into the conversation, Mr. Brooks? All the Democrats do is moan and groan and moan and groan about all this. Koch brothers and the Citizens United and all the rest of it, and they can't get it. So they're conflicted with this.
Very conflicted. Yeah, they can't drop. You can't say that on TV. You can't say that advertising doesn't work. I'm amazed he's still alive.
Now which brings us to a side clip, which is the idiot, one of the members of the New York Times board.
This is, and I'm happy you're playing this. I clipped it too. It is important to record this and have it in our show for future generations to enjoy.
She's talking with Brian Williams on MSNBC, and this is what we hear.
Wait, let's just set up. It's Brian Williams, MSNBC. It is Mara Gay.
Mara Gay.
Yes, and she's on the right. But the tweet itself is from Washington Post reporter.
Somebody, I don't know who the guy is.
Yes.
That did this
No, it's a woman. Makite, I think.
She's got some funny name. I didn't get to look at her tweets because they're closed.
Protected. Yeah, but she's a WAPO reporter.
Okay,
so it's the trifecta.
That adds another dimension.
Yes, it's NBC News, it's the New York Times, and it's Washington Post. It perfectly shows the Ministry of Truthiness anno 2020.
$1 billion beating this guy, he could do it.
Absolutely. Somebody tweeted recently that actually with the money he spent, he could have given every American $1 million.
I've got it. Let's put it up on the screen. When I read it tonight on social media, it kind of all became clear. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. U.S. population 327 million. Don't tell us if you're ahead of us on the math. He could have given each American $1 million and have had lunch money left over. It's an incredible way of putting it.
It's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing. It does suggest, what we're talking about here, which is there's too much money in politics.
My favorite is, it's true. It's true. I'm a reporter. It's true. Damn it. I mean, Brian Williams is like, we forgive him because that's part of his charm now.
So 300 million people times $1 million, of course, is 300 billion, which is not what Bloomberg spent. He spent what they said, which is about 500 million. But to come up with the idea, it'd be about $1.50 if somebody did the math. It's easy enough to figure out.
Yeah.
But they figured that it's the same as giving everybody $1 million, and this makes logic. First of all, to say that in the first place, you have to stop and think. You have to say, wait a minute, maybe my math is off here because that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right. This is a problem with these reporters. They can't. They had this there's no sniff test for them.
Exactly.
It doesn't sound right because it's not even close. You're off by a factor of 1 million. 1 million. This is not a small factor. This is not like a factor of 10. I've done that on the show. I've been off by a factor of 10. I made a math mistake and it's off by 10. It's not off by 1 million. And they play it straight. And then somebody produced the tweet and put it on the screen. There's a director, there's cameramen, there's guys in the control booth. They're all over the place. And
I don't see why you're surprised. I don't see why you're surprised. I'm not surprised at all. This is fantastic. I think Brian Williams should be on the talk show circuit. He should be on The View tomorrow talking about this. Yes. Yes, but your point is well made, and that is the milieu and the complete trust of other libjos. They just trust each other, just completely blanket. Carte blanche you have with me.
I have a letter from one of our readers who's in the
one of our
readers.
Yeah.
Well, he reads our newsletters. Yeah. I gotta have to find it because it's around here somewhere. But it also reiterates what somebody else said is, and this was regarding you and the sound guy. The sound guy for.
Oh
Biden.
Yes.
He says somebody hates him. And
Bo Jiden?
Somebody commented on Twitter, says somebody in the control room, because there's no way this could get through all those levels. Somebody must really hate Brian Williams. Maybe he's a dick. And this girl, this gay, what's her name, whatever her name is,
Myra Gay.
She was so glib looking. Oh, yes. And she had this look of like unbelievable satisfaction.
Because she had done math for the first time and liked the answer. That's it. She liked the answer.
You're right. This is the New York Times epitomized.
Mm-hmm.
This is the epitome of what we're getting from the New York Times.
Well,
and the Washington Post and the NBC.
And I think the former New York banker is onto it as well.
Well, it's about time.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the circulation you get taken out of, John C.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, feet in the air, subs in the water, and the dames and nights out there.
Well done. Nailed it. In the morning to the trolls in the troll room at noagendastream.com. Let's take a quick look at count. We have, nice, 1369. That's a lot of trolls there. Where y'all from, trolls? Where you checking in from? This is at noagendastream.com, where you can listen to lots of live programming. If it's not live, then we're rolling out value for value podcasts. Go to noagendastream.com, and here we go. Ecuador, Columbus, Ohio, Bangor, Maine.
Ecuador.
Scandinavia, Nevada, Chirac, Confederate California, West Slope of Colorado, Gitmo Lowlands. This is good. This is very good. Good to see you all, everybody. Then I would like to thank our artists for episode 1222. This episode was the last one on Thursday. It was titled Booby Trap. And the artwork was a nice piece. And this was done by Comic Strip Blogger. And this was the Democrat donkey symbol kicking, as a donkey does, a Bernie 2020 ball behind him or her or it. And this was an older one, wasn't it? This wasn't, or was this?
No, this was from a week ago.
From a week ago,
I used it in the newsletters. I think the second time we've used a newsletter artwork for the show. I think it's only been done twice.
It's very special.
And, well, I mean, I saw it, and it really epitomizes what's going on. It was very symbolic. It was very well done.
It's a good piece.
Well thought out.
Definitely a good piece. Thank you for that, Comic Strip Blogger. We have many artists who contribute their value to the show by giving us fantastic artwork. It also shows up on hats and T-shirts and hoodies and mugs at noagendashop.com. And in general, in our value for value system, I just wanted, before we get to the executive producers, associate executive producers, who were also obviously adding value to the show, I just wanted to say, looking at how, because I got a lot of extra email coming in after the Joe Rogan appearance, and it's so nice how everybody, I said it before, but everyone's like really, they've been promoting this. If you look at the YouTube comments, it's just every 5 comments, there's an in the morning, here's the URL, you got to check out the podcast. You guys have, gals, hey guys and gals, you've done great.
Guys and gals.
Done a great job at promoting, and that's what you do. But also I wanted to thank everyone. Over the years, our producers have gotten so sharp when it comes to spotting things that they think, will be interesting for the show. Their eyes are really sharp on important topics. Really, it's like having our own network of intelligence analysts. And I just want everyone to know
it's exactly what it is, by the way.
Yeah, seasoned research professionals. And it's so incredibly enjoyable. And when I look at just other models, even, what Joe's doing, I'm like, we are so fortunate to have built this community. And yes, I want to respond one more thing, and then I'll shut up. We're not a cult. We're a tribe. And I was just thinking about it when Rogan said, well, you guys are like a cult. And my answer should have been, well, either not, different from your cult, but smarter would have been, yeah, we're a tribe. This is tribal media that we're doing now. And in this case, we had 2 tribes united by the same peace pipe.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, any new newcomers? Hello, welcome to the party. It's like a party, and here's where we thank people who've supported this particular episode in extraordinary measures, and that's why we like to bestow them with the title of executive producer or associate executive producer.
Yes, we start off with anonymous. Today's a little slower than it's been. We didn't get any of the Insta Dames, which, because it's International Women's Day, we thought that might accomplish something.
So that was a dud, huh?
It was a total dud. Nobody cares about the women.
No, Well, there you go.
Maybe if they didn't shave their heads, it would probably be better.
There's no evidence of shaved heads.
Shaved heads and fists in the air. Anonymous, $369.99 from the Colorado bunker. Now, he is donated a lot over the years, and now he's going to be the... he's not. I don't know if he never asked or we knighted him something else, but now he's going to be the anonymous Baron of the ADF-C, which is code for something he's doing.
ADF-C.
Yeah, that's something. You have to figure it out. This is the 14th time I've contributed.
Oh, I know what it is. Yes, I figured it out. Okay.
This is the 14th time I've contributed monetarily to the show. I'm still unwilling to allow my true identity to be revealed on the show, so please keep my name anonymous. I am knighted as Sir Anonymous Baron of the ADF-C. I typically donate once annually as my tax refund rolls in. I donated annually. My title and tithing are only mentioned once a year. Because of this, I feel unworthy, unsightly, and douchey. Please de-douche me.
Okay. Oops. Almost missed the douche button. Douche.
You've been de-douched.
When I hear all the Knights contributing more frequently, I feel a pain of angst, and I think that I should simply break up my annual contribution so that my name is mentioned more frequently as a salve for my conscience, as a placibic way to obtain moral self-incensing. What? Moral self-licensing, and virtue signal to my fellow knights and dames. So here I am donating again. As I've stated before, you must continue your work. It is vital to our nation's interests, and the citizens are better for it. As the peerage grows, the knowledge spreads. As I hit people in the mouth, they are illuminated by the light that is the No Agenda Show. As the tax returns roll in, overpaying like the good little slave that I am, I return a small sum in kind, paying back the value for value in any small way that I can. I have donated before, and I've managed to rise amongst my peers to the level of Baron. Hopefully, I can continue to contribute throughout my wage-earning years, which are rapidly diminishing. This particular donation in the amount of $369.99 is a special contribution that I call the Triple Intel Treat. The Triple Intel Treat. That's treat, not threat. This donation celebrates the power of 3 and the almighty EO-12333, pronounced O12333. Yes, that's Executive Order 12333. Oh, yeah. Bring it on, bitch. The triple threat.
Presidential.
Threat.
That's PPD, I think. Isn't it a presidential preparedness order or something?
I think.
Let me ask you a question. Did the Jambo Joe package arrive for you?
No, I got nothing.
Oh, you sound pretty happy today.
Oh, no, I didn't get anything.
I did.
No, it's because I'm happy because the clock changed and I got to get up earlier.
Oh, my God. I was hating myself so much at 4:30 this morning. 5:30, but really 4:30. It was bad. Damn elites. Stealing time.
So he's got his accounting on the back in a very, very orderly fashion.
Well,
so he's.
I take it as a very high. I take it as a very high compliment from him. Once you figure out ADF-C, it's a high compliment that he says that we're doing important work. So I like that, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And he will be knighted Sir Anonymous Baron of the ADF-C today at the round table.
Yes. He sends interesting notes, I will say. Although we don't get any inside stuff from him, but it's still good stuff. Tony Cabrera, 35667, and he says, in the morning, here's your latest Kiretsu profits from the No Agenda shop.
Do you know, this refers to, it's Kiretsu. This refers to the Joe Rogan show. I talked about how No Agenda shop
I referred to the Japanese idea that is used in Silicon Valley so much.
Which is why I brought it up. On Joe Rogan, I talked specifically about No Agenda shop and how it worked. And I said, it's kind of a Kiretsu.
Yeah, he was of the opinion that it was nuts that we weren't doing mugs.
Yeah, and I said, we got mugs, it's just we don't take care of it ourselves. And, you know,
don't do this kind of.
Our boys over there at noagendashop.com, they do whatever they do.
We have people.
Yeah, thousands.
We have people, and they know how to do mugs. They know how to make money doing some of this stuff that it's not our core competency. Our core competency is to scream into a microphone.
But also, yeah, okay, fine.
I will be mailing out some No Agenda mugs to both of you.
Yes, good.
Get another mug.
Yes, and I will send the bonus one to Joe, of course.
And a bonus one is to Joe via Adam, since Joe mentioned he wanted one. Good. No Jingles, No Karma being part of the No Agenda Network is enough for today.
Thank you, Tony. And we love what you guys do. NoAgendaShop.com. The artists benefit, the shop benefits, and sometimes the show benefits. It's fantastic.
Well, there we go. Right there. He's an executive producer. Chuck Boyce, Sir hashtag blessed 333. I'm listening to you on the Rogan last night. My first thought was, does he know what he just did? That JRE episode is going to make some waves, man. Congratulations. Sup, John? ITM Chuck.
Hey, we have 1.4 million views on the full interview. And another 1.8 million views on the clips. They cut it into clips, 10-minute bits. So, and that's excluding the actual podcast, which I think it does huge numbers.
Oh, it's good. The numbers in the podcast should be higher.
Yeah. So,
Brian Boatwright in Salt Lake City, Florida, 333. Request Goat Karma. About 3 months ago, I started listening again, and I don't know why I ever stopped. Thanks for all the great episodes, and keep being awesome.
We shall do our best. Here's your Goat Karma, Brian.
You've got karma.
L. Bolin in Farmington, Minnesota. 26969. First associate executive producer for today. Show 1223. Jingle 6969, dude. Stop the hammering. You can read those because you.
I got those. No, I got all those. I'm good.
I'm just working on my damehood here. AJ Bolin, sorry, not L. AJ. Damehood here. I'm a millennial girl stuck in a big amygdala world. If I could get a jobs karma, by the way. So we had a guy write in saying, it's just the opposite of what you said.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced of this because we were playing some guy went on, this was a couple of years ago, some guy went on and on about the amygdala swollen when you get mad all the time and you start to get bigger.
Right.
But whatever, we're going to stick with our theory. Anyway, she's stuck in a big amygdala world. If I could get some jobs karma, I'll need that for the annual review at work. I harbor much love for you, John and Adam and John. She harbors much love.
Yes.
I find that to be an interesting usage.
Well, she's going to caveat that in a moment.
Stay calm and keep podcasting. Love and light, AJ.
AJ, thank you so much.
69, dudes. Stop the hammering.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
I like that combination.
It's a good combo. I haven't heard the 99 Rosie thing in a long time. That's an old.
Yeah, with the hammering, it worked out. All right. So Robert Zogel in Franklin, North Carolina, 21882 wrote in. Just a little lengthy note, but it's kind of interesting. With the included donation and attached donation record, I hereby request to be knighted Sir Robert of the Smoky Mountain Brass.
Mm-hmm.
Is he on the list? I think so.
Yes, he is.
On March 8th, blah, blah, blah. It's his 65th birthday. That I didn't put him on that list.
Oh, okay. I'll put him on that.
Also, I ran into this note on one of my previous shows, and I'm not sure that we ever put Milton's Cuevas' son Jackson, who's in his final month of the Army training at Fort Lee, on the birthday list.
For today?
Well, his birthday is on March 1st.
So Jackson, what's his last name?
It would be Jackson Cuevas, Cuevas.
And that was March 1st. And how old was he?
21.
21. I have a feeling we did it, but we'll just do it again.
Yeah, give him another.
We'll do it again.
It should have been.
We'll do it live.
It should have been done in pile 2. Anyway, he says he's going to be the mountain brass. He says brass has a double meaning in my title. It refers to the brass instrument I play, an E-flat alto horn in the Smoky Mountain Brass Band in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, nice. Huh? Yeah, I told you. Our producers are the best, man. They're the best.
That is an E-flat harmonica. The brass I sweep up after the day at the local outdoor range.
Oh, that
Moss
brass.
Knob shooting range.
That's some real brass.
Moss Knob shooting range in Nantahala National Forest. He needs a de-douching.
We got that.
You've been de-douched.
Request some birthday karma, a little Sharpton. I got ants and don't eat me Bernie Sanders. Do you have that one? I don't know. Anyway, he says, having discovered No Agenda from a JCD plug on Twit several years ago, I've sought to hit various friends and family in the mouth with only one full-time success, my U.S. Naval Academy roommate. Despite forcing my girlfriend over 10 years to listen to No Agenda in the car and dragging her to 2 NA meetups in Atlanta, her standard retort remains, quote, they have an agenda.
What were his jingles? Because I couldn't prep for those. What did he ask for?
Oh, sorry. Birthday karma, a little Sharpton.
Yeah.
Any Sharpton. I got ants and don't eat me Bernie.
Okay. Well, we don't have don't eat me Birdie, but it's Bo Jiden. We have don't eat me Bo Jiden.
Why don't you play that?
And ants, we don't play the full ants. It's a minute 45. But
no, you just
I understand. I understand what people want. Is anything else in his note?
Yeah, I'm reading. She says they have an agenda, yet I do see her crack a smile every now and again, especially when Dogs Are People Too segment pops up. She is not a dog person or a big dog person. She should listen to Adam. Adam and her be right in the same boat. She also tells me that the reason I listen to No Agenda is because I'm an old crotchety white man like you guys, especially JCD.
Boom shakalaka.
Jeez.
Compliments flying fast and heavy here today.
And I and my now adult human resources have been tech media groupies since Erica Hill was young and hot. Come to think of it, she's still hot. But I digress. There's only crotchety old men can say stuff like this.
Yes.
A few years back, I posted something. Yeah, you say something like that and I get slapped. A few years back, I posted something on the Face Bag based directly on a link from the show notes. My younger son, mid-30s, who rarely puts anything on the bag, reported on the bag, quick listening to Dvorak. How did he know? I don't know what it refers to, but he says another funny story relating to a recent episode right after the first or second Democrat debates was respect to the discussion about how unbalanced audio levels were on a couple of women candidates. The reason for that, according to my other human resource who works in one of the AT&T, Time Warner, CNN, Turner subsidiaries, was that just before they went on the air, they went for one last pee break, and their lavalier transmitters got knocked into the toilet.
Oh, really?
The audio guys did not have time to check levels on the replacement transmitters before they went on the air. Too funny not to be true.
That explains it.
It would explain it. Anyway, he drives. He's got a 2-hour and 15-minute drive each way. The No Agenda podcast is the ultimate driving companion for making the trip. One habit I've developed which I need to break is that every time I hear someone on the radio or TV say, look, I yell, look.
Here's the deal. Anyway. I wanted to add to that, and I love those types of reports from technical crew are gold, I feel. It's gold. I mean, who would know that? I have one here. Anonymous producer who works for a production company in Manhattan does large corporate galas, fundraisers, and benefit dinners. Bloomberg has attended many of these events, and every time his height has been a problem. If he's speaking at a lectern, it must not be made of lucite or a clear material. See, this is Bloomberg's rider. his handlers have a specific box for him, and they want it hidden while other people are speaking at the lectern. I do not have the exact dimensions of the box, but my guess is about 8 inches tall. When he's speaking at a fireside chat or in an interview setting, there must be a pillow on the chair to prop him forward so his feet touch the ground. These rules, by the way, also apply to Janet Yellen. Big fan. Thanks for everything you guys do. The secrets of TV and media being exposed right here before your very eyes.
We do.
Yeah. I'd love that. I need a pillow so my feet touch the ground. That's worse than the box. That's
worse than the box.
That's horrible. Yeah. What did our Robert want here for don't eat me, Bo Jiden, Sharpton? Any karma or jobs karma?
Yes, and a karma.
Regular karma?
No, he wanted a where is it? It was some special karma. It was a regular karma, but it was for some special reason.
Well, now we have to know.
He put it right in the middle here. The funny story episode. Here it is. D douche. We did that. Birthday karma. That's it.
Okay.
Don't eat me, Bo Jiden. You're scary. So scary.
RESPICT.
I got ants.
You've got karma.
It'd be just to give an Erica Hill story. So Erica Hill was at Tech TV.
Who is Erica? Are you telling us?
Erica Hill is an anchor for CNN. She was on the morning show on CBS. She was one of the hosts of the morning show during one of their transition periods. She's a very pretty woman, and I consider myself the one that discovered her.
Oh, okay. The monkey comes out of the sleeve again.
It wasn't like a discovery. It was like she was very attractive. She had the right size head. She had the dimples. She had everything going on. And they would have her do little reports from the office or some bullshit, some phony baloney thing. But every time the camera hit her, the camera loved her.
Yeah.
And she liked the camera. And it was just like this relationship. You could see it between her and the camera. And as soon as I saw it once, I said, oh, if this girl wants to go into broadcasting, she's got it made. Because it was just one of those things, you don't see it that often, where it's just a match made in heaven between a camera and a person who just has the eyes sparkle and everything with the camera. It's just a funny thing to see and witness, but she was like top 10 of that sort of person.
And I'd like to expand when John says she has the right head. We are speaking as television executives in this case. She's got you want a big head on television. A big head. Big heads are good for ratings. Look at Pat Sajak. Look at Jay Leno. I mean, I don't have a big head, but I made my head big with hair, and it's worked very successful. Big heads equals ratings.
She does, yes. But the funny thing is, Natalie Del Conte has a very small head.
Yeah, but she also had to run away to Portugal. So, let's be honest here.
Well, you have me at the end.
How is she, by the way? Is she still out there? She's still on the lam with her husband?
Well, according to them, they're never on the lam. But she has a blog, and I check in on about once a month to see what they're up to. Mm-hmm. And I have not. They've been gone to radio silent, so I have no idea.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so that's your more insight. Yes. If people actually do care about how the mechanism works.
Of course.
Broadcasting, because it's all trickery. They're trying to fool the public. Darren Grimes is next on the list, $202.02. And by the way, if you skipped the donation segment, you missed that story.
That's right.
Welcome, JRE listeners, to the best podcast in the universe. Be prepared to have your paradigm shattered or reinforced, depending on which dimension you're in. Great job on JRE, Adam. And thank you for our shout-out last show. Hopefully, we can have you on the Grimerica show soon. Often described as the second best podcast in the universe, we'll be interviewing Jen Briney in a few weeks.
Oh, good. Very good.
That's interesting. She's a very good. She's another one that's a kind of a natural.
Well, she's also your discovery.
She was discovered herself, but
you've coached,
helped her as much as I could because when I heard her voice, she has one of the most. She has a lot of women that are good on broadcasting. They have a kind of a song in their voice. It's like it's got a ring to it. It's hard to explain it, but when you hear it, you know it. And when I heard her voice, pleasant. I said, "Oh my God,
it's pleasant."
It's a pleasant voice, and when I met her and talked to her the first time, it was like she has no training. It's just natural. And that's just, got it made if you're that natural. It's like people you run into, there's another one, I hate to digress too much, but it's like once in a while you run into somebody who's like a natural teleprompter reader.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen one, don't know what it is. They start to look at it, they read it like it's like...
I know. Trump is exactly like that.
Trump's the worst. He's the worst teleprompter reader.
He's like his whole body shifts, and now I'm going back to the teleprompter. The United States, blah, blah, and then it gets so boring.
Why don't the Democrats call Trump out on this? He's a lousy teleprompter reader, and he bitched and moaned and groaned about Obama and his teleprompter, and then the next thing you know, he's reading from it, and nobody says anything.
Well, it's because the Democrats' guy, Bo Jiden, is not much better. So people in glass houses, people in front of glass screens, people who read from glass screens should not cast the first stone.
We will be interviewing Briney in a few weeks. Lastly, he continues, we need to call out the brothers of the Serpent podcast of the Serpent podcast as douchebags. Douchebag. We hit them in the mouth last May, and I know they've been loving the show. Better donate soon, boys. Keep up the good work, lads. Onward and upward. Thank you for your courage.
Yeah, there's no threat there or anything. Better donate soon, boys. Thank you very much,
Matt Davidson's
Darren.
next. He came in with $200. Dear John and Adam, I've been thinking about donating for a while. I knew it was time when listening to the first donation segment for episode 1222 when JCD said, now let's thank some people for show 1222. I looked at the clock in my car. It was 1222.
Woo!
It was a sign. Thank you for the sanity. Adam, great interview with Rogan. Thanks. Matt Davidson, jingles, please. Okay, Matt Davidson. Jingles, please. Huntsman sounds pretty good with the goat health karma.
I think that sounds pretty good.
You've got karma.
Thank you, Matt. Wait a minute. He didn't ask for a de-douching. It seems like he might have been in order for one, but he didn't ask for it, so.
David Alcock, 200. I've been a douchebag for far too long, but thanks to some good house selling karma, I've got a little scratch to add to the kitty. Even though I do not have as much as I would like to give, he gave 200, which is fine. I have included a little something extra to sweeten the pot. I have been fortunate enough to have a good voice, although that is what people tell me. Oh, so he made a clip, and he hope you'll like. Mm-hmm. I think I don't have it.
I have it.
I think it's in order to give some background on the clip. First of all, it has nothing to do with sex, although the name might imply something different. When I produce, I have a dry track, which is the original recording, and a wet track, which has been enhanced. As you will find out, I named the track Pussy, so naturally I named the first track Dry Pussy, and nobody likes Dry Pussy, and the enhanced track Wet Pussy. God. So my gift to the greatest podcast in the universe is not only in the universe, but in the multiverse as well, and all the nice dames and douchebags in the no agenda community for a little scratch for the kitty and some wet pussy. Humbly request a thorough de-douching, some wet pussy, and a don't eat me Hillary. Sincerely, Nature Boy. Douchebag. P.S. I'd like to work on the other no agenda with other No Agenda producers, so hit me in the mouth on the No Agenda social.
Okay, well.
I don't know. That was a note I don't feel comfortable reading.
You've been de-douched.
If you don't like what we have to say, pussy, then don't fucking listen. No Agenda with Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak.
Don't eat me, Hillary Clinton.
You've got karma.
Well, I think we should give him some general feedback since he produced this. The preamble in the note was a little overboard, to be honest.
There's more note than there was material.
Yeah. And you're just read normally. You go a little bit too low like that. That's a bit too much. So a little less. I like the sound in general. And but we wouldn't play a clip like that often with the F-bomb in there like that.
No, we try to avoid that.
Yeah,
and it's not necessary. What does it bring to the party?
Exactly. So, but you got a good voice, but you just stop trying to force it like you're doing in a world where women wear comfortable shoes. So just ease back and send us a new one. The meeting's over.
Yeah. And by the way, most people are better off in broadcasting if they try to sound like themselves.
Yes.
It's like everything else.
And thank you, David. We appreciate it. And I believe we have a Scandinavian associate executive producer here on the list.
Is that true?
Sir Acid of the Scandinavian Woods.
Yes, Sir Acid of the Scandinavian Woods in Courtice, Ontario, 14362. This donation is, okay. Jingle request, you got it. You can read, that's true. Dvorak's chair gently squeaks. Karma request, F cancer, goat. Forgive me, Podfather, for I have douchebagged. I'm completely missed my monthly donation for February, so I am making it up for it with this donation for both months with some extra cash on top to bring me to the associate executive producer level. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
And give me some goat karma along with some F cancer karma for my father, whose tumor appears to have been vanished since treatment and will hopefully stay that way, like a dealer's choice, Sharpton. That's true. And yeah, didn't he say this twice in here? Or am I reading this?
No. And while Dvorak's chair, yes, he did put there, gently squeaks. Yeah. Well, I'll play a little bit of it here. Thank you both for your courage. Sir Acid of the Scandinavian Woods, Courtice, Ontario, Canada. And just to reiterate, any other country using dollarettes, we will honor your $200 dollarette level as an associate executive producer here on the show, because and it's getting better for you guys in Canada. You're not even hitting $150 now with your 200. That is so sad.
Well, as the Canadian economy is about to collapse thanks to Justin Trudeau's policies. They're cutting off the oil guys and all the money. The Albertans used to be the richest place in the world. Now they're all suffering. I mean, it's a nightmare up there.
Perhaps he was influenced by Gurgle and the Third Reich.
That's true.
I tune into here the best media deconstruction. While the Dvorak's chair gently squeaks.
You've got karma.
All right. Well, that's our group of well-wishers in the form of associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1223.
Yes, and thank you. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say thank you. I want to do what you're going to say. Say it.
Well, I was going to say these are credits that are completely legit, and you can use them anywhere credits are recognized. So this is great for your LinkedIn profile, your business cards. Does anyone still have business cards? Do we still do business cards?
I do.
Yeah. Well, of course you do. I mean, anyone else in a normal state of being, do people still use them? I guess.
I ask for business cards once in a while, and I get them.
Yeah. But maybe you're looking for a job, but also it looks impressive. Executive producer of No Agenda Show, episode 1223. Thank you very much. We'll be thanking more people in our second segment, and of course we've got some knights to bring up on stage, the podium, and we'd love to see you back again to support us for Thursday's show. Please do so by going to
Dvorak.org/NA.
So while you're telecommuting, you can tell everybody you know what's up with COVID-19.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, Slade.
Shut up, Slade.
He's a little bit creepy, but mostly just sleepy. It's sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe. Joe Biden's Gallery.
Yes, I'm waiting for the Joe gaffes.
You want to do some gore?
Yes, I can't wait.
Okay,
I want to do some Joe gaffes.
Gaff Mania. I got a bunch of Gaff Mania. I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry.
4 very short ones and a longer one. Actually, yeah. Let's start with the one that's not under gaff, but under Biden gaff. And this is the one that got, I think, most of the play, where he loses it in the middle of a discussion and says we have to reelect Trump.
And turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelect. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump.
Now, I would like to stop for one moment here and put the No Agenda producer researcher hat on. This is, you've been duped. You've been duped. This is out of context, because what actually happened is Joe said something else after that. So this is unfair. So I have to protect Joe.
If you want to nominate, we'll bring this.
I mean, he's still out of his gourd, but that is not fair. Well, here it comes.
Okay, but I'm not going to argue with that. But let me just say one thing first. We're only doing these gaffes because the mainstream media has decided to cover up for Joe.
Right.
And many of these gaffes came from people listening to these clips on the mainstream media and noticing chunks missing.
Right. Just this one is unfair. And I just want you to hear the whole thing in context.
If you want to nominate, we'll bring this party together, who'll run a progressive, positive campaign and turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelect. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump if, in fact, we get engaged in this circular firing squad here.
So he saved it. But it's important to point out that something else, it was still nothing okay, let me just step back. Who is in charge of Joe Biden? He just had a fantastic showing on Super Tuesday. Put the man at home, put the gimp ball in his mouth, lock him up, don't let him out. Put the surrogates on the road. Get Jill Biden out there. Anybody. Don't put this candidate out there before your Michigan primary. That's crazy. You can't manage this kind of person.
So they put him on the Chris Wallace show.
Oh, jeez.
And so we have a standalone kind of a gaffe followed by more gaffe, and this is a real disaster, in my opinion. This is the gaffe standalone. Thanks, Chuck.
We'll see me standing next to him and him standing next to me. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. Thanks for your time. Please come back in less than 13 years, sir.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. I just did Chris. No, I just did Chuck. I tell you what, man, these are back to back. Anyway.
No, it's
I don't
okay.
know how you do it early in the morning, too.
Safe travels on the campaign trail. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sad.
I think that wasn't even the real Joe. Now I have just a bunch of real short ones that came from a compilation. There was about 10 in the compilation. Most of them were very good, but I like these, and for a couple of reasons. This first one, which is at the top of the list, because all of these were at the same speech, and this would have all, like 2 or 3 years ago on our show, would have been a drunk or not drunk.
Do you want to do it? Do you want to do a drunk or non-drunk? Or
No, we don't have to, but you can maybe later. No, we don't need to do that. But let's start with this one. This one says 3. This is where he says, instead of Obamacare, he says Ogamacare.
The national firefighters. What I ponder though is the incredible enthusiasm and excitement this campaign has generated, folks.
Wait a minute, well, this was something different. I didn't hear it.
Did it end?
I didn't. That was the end. Yeah.
Oh, I must have clipped it poorly.
Oh, good.
Well, sorry.
Well done. Well done.
Good work, drunk or not drunk. Let's go to the mania or drunk 1.
This was 1. Oh, you wanted 2 first?
Oh no, I wanted 3. This says Ogamacare in the clip. No, that was just where he said. Okay, let's start.
Let's start. Oh, wait. They'll never know. I'll edit this out. Okay, good. Gee, John. Hey, John, tell me, do you have more gaff clips?
Let's start back to that first one, with the one you played. This is the one that would have qualified for the drunk or not drunk. This is just him rambling about talking to firefighters. He sounds plastered.
The national firefighters. What I ponder though is the incredible enthusiasm and excitement this campaign has generated, folks.
Thick tongue, yeah. Oh man, well, he needs to drink courage now.
Now we'll move to clip. This one says 2. We'll move the one I wanted to the end. This one says 2, and this one I was very happy to get because he actually says, "Oh, Biden."
A lifelong Democrat, a proud Democrat, an "Oh, Biden-Obama Democrat."
No Biden.
He says, "Oh, Biden."
He does. That's because that's not the real Joe, man. The real Joe wouldn't make that mistake, would he? It's about his own name.
Oh, Biden.
Oh, Biden. The reason why is because he keeps throwing in there what some consultant told him. Say Obama Biden, the Obama Biden campaign, Obama Biden administration, Obama Biden care. And then he comes out with, but then when he for some reason says Biden or Biden first, Biden Obama, his brain can't process, so it comes out Biden.
You're probably right. This is probably exactly it. Now this is the one I like, which is the Ogamacare.
We can do this by building on Obamacare.
Obamacare. If he actually used that on his platform, I think people would vote for it. Obamacare. I like that. I want some Obamacare. Fantastic.
All right.
Poor Joe.
Well, as somebody once said, this is elder
abuse. Yes, it is. Totally.
But the media will not play these clips.
Well, no.
They're covering for him. Everyone is all in on getting this guy the nomination and letting him run against Trump and lose.
I would just like to remind everybody that even if you go to Wikipedia, and this is why I don't, it's an insult really to run this guy, particularly when he talks about, I wrote that bill. I wrote the Federal Assault Weapons Ban bill. Well, the problem is that was all wrapped up into one act of 1994, the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act. And this is the act that put 100,000 cops on the street, that built the entire commercial prison system. This was what Hillary Clinton said, this is how we need to bring the super predators to heel. And if you look right here on Wikipedia, so this was my point is, not a very pro-African American thing you did here, Joe. And it says right here, the bill was originally written by Senator Joe Biden of Delaware. He was behind the whole thing. But okay. Run, Joe, run.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This would be a good opportunity to mention that we do not have a explicit two-party system in the United States. And you go anywhere overseas, well, you only have Republicans and Democrats. No, you can actually, there's a lot of different parties, and I looked some of them up, and I would like to share some other choices that you can vote for. Brian Carroll is the nominee for the American Solidarity Party. Jerome Siegel, who is a philosopher from Maryland, he is running for the Bread and Roses ticket. We have Don Blankenship, from West Virginia. He is running for the Constitution Party. Then we have Gloria La Riva. And Gloria is running for the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Howie Hawkins, the Peace and Freedom Party. He's an interesting dude. And let's see, do we have anything else? That's
well, what about the Libertarian Party? Do they have a candidate this year?
Well, let me see. I think they do, actually. No, Independent. I don't see the Libertarian Party anywhere in this list. Did they even have? Usually they do something.
Yeah, they have usually a convention, and then Gary Johnson gets to be president.
Yeah, there's been none of that.
Maybe it folded.
Libertarian Party 2020. Let me see. I could be wrong. I mean, wasn't McAfee running for something? He's always running for something. Here we go. 2020 presidential candidates. Okay. So they do have here we go. Oh, we could have been on this list. Adam Kokesh, Brian Ellison, Daniel Berman. Daniel Berman's got a big hat that says taxation is theft on it. It sounds like a good libertarian. Jedediah Hill. I'm just reading the names that I recognize. There's quite a lot of people running for... Oh, there he is. Thank goodness. Well, here's the guy. You go to VerminSupreme2020.com. He is on the ticket. Pony up, America. Vermin Supreme 2020. He's got a great website, John. You got to take a look what he's doing this year.
Who's Vermin Supreme?
He's the guy with the boot on his head.
The guy with the boot on his head.
Yeah, and he gives a pony. His platform is everyone gets a pony.
How do you spell this? Vermin, Vermin?
Yeah, Supreme 20. You know the guy. 2020.com. Platform for a pioneer America and a zombie-powered future. The mission of this campaign is to spread a loud and unapologetic message of free thought, clean smiles, and ponies. Through satire and humor, I present real issues with fantastical context, in-depth analysis, and a dose of much-needed humor in the political sphere. With thought-provoking activism, I stand against the tyrannical duopoly, the violent police state, and all forms of overreaching government.
He's got a link for a video. Maybe there's audio from this on this video.
Wait, from the homepage?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see. I can play it.
Just look down. He's got a good picture of himself, says motherboard, and he's got a boot on his head.
Here we go.
Hi, my name's Vermin Supreme, and I'm generally known as a person who's running for president. I'm a friendly fascist. I'm a tyrant that you should trust, and you should let me run your life. Because I, too, know what is best for you. I'm a fringe candidate. I'm running for president of America, of course.
That's it. He's got my vote. He's got my vote. I voted for him before. The guy is fantastic. Love this guy. Vermin Supreme 2020.
Is he actually on the ballot anywhere?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, he has to be. Usually he's on the ballot in New York, but I don't know if he's... It's a good question. I don't know. You can also donate to his campaign. He doesn't even say chip in.
So while we're on the topic of Vermin Supreme, I have a kind of a side clip that might be worth listening to because I've got to compete with you now digging up some of these things. This is Chunk.
Chunk Uygur, yes.
So he actually recorded this himself.
Oh.
And this is only part of the recording. He's at the airport. And he, I guess the flight was delayed, and he decided to make a fuss about it, and he's going to post this. I guess he did, or somebody
Isn't this old? He's done this before. Hasn't he gone through some airport scene?
Yeah, he does this every so often. I don't know if this is new or old, but I've never heard it before. You've heard it before?
I think this is old. I think you got snookered again, man.
Is the flight coming? Supervisors, the flight coming. Supervisors.
I think this is... I think this is old.
So you at least got to be honest. Is there a flight? Is there a plane? You got to be honest. Is there a plane? Is there a plane? Where's the plane? Where's the plane? Is there a plane? Where is it? Where's the plane? You know, but listen, if we just sit here and take it, they'd have us here until 6 in the morning, and then they'd fuck us even harder, okay? So I need to, you're a supervisor, aren't you? Where's the plane?
Sorry, I'm not going to answer your question.
No, I know, because I've been here for 4 hours. Don't give me this. Where's the plane? Here, I got a question for you. When did you make the decision that we weren't going to have a plane? When did you make that decision? Who made the decision? Who made the decision that we weren't? It's funny to you, right? It's not funny to us. Who made the decision? Who made the decision? Who made it? Well, who is it then? That's what I'm asking. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Is there a crew? Is there a crew? Is there a crew?
By yelling, we're not going to be able to answer your question.
Okay, let me whisper it. Is there a crew? Is there a plane or a crew?
By 2:04, your plane is already on its way from the hangar.
No, but they told us that 4 hours ago. Is it actually
Yeah, I think this is old. I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, it's new to me, and I got a kick out of not the like as though somebody was recording somebody going nuts, with their own camera. I got a kick out of the arrogance for him to record it.
Oh, he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, man.
It's unbelievable.
He really does. He really thinks he's all that. I know.
I mean, let's record ourselves being an a-hole.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, I have an update. Oh, not really an update, but I caught something in the... oh, wait a minute. I need to play my theme song. Hold on. I have a theme song here. Let's see.
You do.
Remember, I am the vaped crusader, hero of the vapors. I have exposed evil tobacco.
Apparently, by the way, I should mention this, not to promote Joe Rogan, but
why not?
Everybody commented on your, because I heard that part too, on your exposition on and I was asked about it by Nick.
Yes.
He says, what is this? What is all this? I said, Adam has been going on and on about this for weeks.
Months, probably.
Not months.
Mm-hmm.
And he became an expert. I explained Dexter, and I went to the background and everything. And I said, I don't think that many people know so much. He's almost like now he's the expert. He should be hired by or brought into the government. And he summarized, apparently beautifully, according to everybody, on the Joe Rogan show. And I guess nobody, it baffled everybody. Wow. So it's a compliment of some sort that I'm giving you.
Yes.
For
I know
bringing this.
It clearly pains you, but okay, keep it coming.
I know it's not well structured.
No, not really. But so the even shorter version is vaping has been taken down by big tobacco and the states that have the master states agreement. That's an important part, which means tobacco companies have a deal with states, particularly California, get a lot of money to compensate for the death and destruction that tobacco causes. And the states wrote bonds against these. And, so they borrowed money against their future earnings. And with vaping, guess what? People were not smoking tobacco. So they had to put a stop for it and taking Juul effectively out of the market. And I think Monday or Tuesday, they're going to try and pass this bill for flavored e-liquids because, that's just trying to hook the children. Don't mind giving your 3-year-old a cell phone, but please don't have any flavored vape liquids around. And this is all to shepherd in, which is now coming, and we've been waiting for IQOS. I know it's a stupid name. No one even knows how to pronounce it. Little I, capital QOS. Which stands
what was this is a good use. I'll stop you here. What were they thinking with this naming convention?
It's an acronym for I Quit Ordinary Smoking. And I'm sure the URL was available because who the hell comes up with that? So, and why is this the genius they've been working towards is because it is a device that looks like a vape pen. It comes with little cartridges you plug in, but it is heated tobacco, which means it's almost smoke-free. This is since the Barbarians at the Gate. If you've never seen that movie, I think it was HBO. Barbarians at the Gate is about the leveraged buyout of RGR Nabisco. And a running gag throughout this was, well, actually not even a gag. They had on deck the smokeless cigarette, and it was going to be a huge bonanza, so they do a leveraged buyout. But it turns out the smokeless cigarette, when you light it with a match, some chemical reaction took place with the sulfur, and it smelled like a turd. So the IQOS apparently is smokeless. So now I'm looking at how else are they going to try and introduce this, because they need a few more pushes. We already have vape is bad. Vape is going to kill you, even though it's completely unrelated with illegal THC cartridges filled with with vitamin E acetate added. We have all the scary stuff. Kids are getting hooked. It's all bad. Here's IQOS. It's going to save the world, but we still need to highlight how great this new device is. And what better than some new research? Yeah. Now let's think. Almost no smoke, practically no smoke from this. That's important because of a new term, third-hand smoke.
You don't have to be anywhere near a cigarette for toxic chemicals to affect you. That's because the residue is lingering long after that cigarette is put out. For what you need to know, John Banzhaf is a professor of public interest of law at George Washington University Law School, also the founder of the group Action on Smoking and Health. Many of us had no idea what third-hand smoke was. How exactly, if it's on clothes or in walls, is it so powerful that it can actually harm our health?
Well, in many ways, third-hand tobacco smoke is like second-hand tobacco smoke, although the experts tell us it is more toxic. The Surgeon General tells us there's no safe lower level of exposure to second-hand tobacco smoke. It kills 40,000 Americans every year. Compare that, by the way, with the coronavirus. Now, what this study showed is if you're a typical non-smoker, you go to a movie theater where they haven't had smoking for over 15 years, you sit down, it's not too crowded, some of the people in the audience are smokers, although they're not smoking then, simply the residue from their clothing will be enough to expose you to about the exposure of 10 cigarettes, secondhand tobacco smoke.
This is pretty outrageous research. I mean, I don't think the jury is really in or is done on secondhand smoke, but now third-hand smoke. You go to a movie theater, just the smoke, the residue that is hanging on other people's clothes is equivalent to you sitting next to somebody smoking 10 cigarettes.
It doesn't even pass. Oh, the sniff test. This is bull.
No, this is PR is what this is. This was on HLN. CLN.
There's a difference? What's the difference?
Well, because this aired on CNN headline news. This is their propaganda channel. I mean, not any less than the other CNN, but this is where you can get these kinds of guys on. Here, the National Center for Health Research sounds important, not really. These guys are paid shills, and this research is going to be distributed. It's coming from them. Go ahead, wait for it. This will become a story. They need a break. They need a break in the media cycle so they can slip this in. But that's what we're getting now. That'll be just follow it. That'll be the next step towards we need IQOS. Yes, because it takes care of the nasty third-hand smoke. You want to hear some more? I have another minute and 50 seconds.
That is deadly. But it's even worse for kids because this stuff tends to collect on rugs and furniture. Kids are crawling around on rugs. They're more likely to pick up things, to touch things, to put them in their mouths. And so it's much more dangerous for kids, but it's terribly dangerous for adults. Fortunately, there are legal remedies.
And what are the things we can do? Because obviously the takeaway...
Now listen to this. This is really egregious because they're going to use HR and all kinds of other mechanisms to screw people who are, and probably people who are vaping too. You just watch. It'll be, third-hand vapor. Oh, yeah, it's really, really bad. Listen to what he suggests you do at your company.
Are legal remedies.
And what are the things we can do? Because obviously the takeaway, I can go to a movie theater. I can't prevent whether someone next to me smoked a cigarette.
No, but if you work where somebody is smoking, go outside for smoking break and come back in, and they smell of tobacco smoke, you can complain to your employer. You can file a complaint with OSHA. You can file a complaint under the Americans with Disabilities Act. You can probably file a complaint under your local laws relating to this. And we've actually done this, and in fact, it works.
Or you could give him an IQOS for his birthday. It's coming.
No legs. The third-hand smoke story has got no legs.
Okay, we'll see.
I'm predicting that as we speak.
Well,
and for one, and this guy sounds like an old crank.
Now, if the IQOS manufacturer comes along and says, "Hey, we want to buy some ads," I think it'll get some legs. We'll see.
The third-hand smoke thing is too laughable. It's got no legs. It's stupid. It's a stupid. This is the.
He had a lab coat on, John. He looked official.
Well, the lab coat was a smart move, but I'll say this: that this is not going to work. It's too stupid. It is stupid.
How would you suggest IQOS market to the masses?
I don't think they're going to. Oh, that's a good question. If we were sitting around trying to figure out how to sell this turkey,
it truly is.
How
a turkey.
to go about it is the question.
I think
got the wrong. It's got a bad name. It's just too similar to vaping. Why don't we just vape? It makes more sense. I would market it as idiotic.
No. Here I go.
They're painting themselves into a corner.
No.
It's impossible.
No. IQOS, the safe vape. That's what I do. Because it doesn't have
better than what they're doing.
Yeah, it doesn't have any harmful chemicals. As a bonus, there's almost no secondhand smoke, let alone that crazy third-hand smoke people are talking about.
I already know what the tobacco company would say to that pitch. They'd say, "We don't want to use the word vape in any way. We were trying to get people not to even think about vaping, so we can't put vape, can't put the competition's word in our pitch."
Okay. Well, it's a real shame if they can't even launch a new product off of this destruction. I mean, there's the vape industry is quite large worldwide, and it's being hammered. When I say they're outlawing flavored e-liquids, that's not entirely true. You have to go through the FDA process, about $1.5 million per flavor. So, it's like, who can afford that? So and there's a lot of vape shops and there's a lot of family businesses. This was a very grassroots movement that was taking place, and in collusion with the government, the big tobacco came in and screwed everybody, and is getting away with it. And that's it from your Vape Crusaders. See you next time, everybody.
So I'm noticing a couple of interesting things. The thing that irks me, a little trend that's irking me, is the ageism that I'm starting to see on Democracy Now.
Oh, interesting.
And this, I only have one, but I could say that she says this constantly over and over again because everyone's all irked about the way it's gone for Elizabeth Warren. Once she quit, everybody's up in a tizzy. And so you end up, if you go to Democracy Now, you hear the following kind of thing, and you hear it a lot. This is the Amy Goodman, and the way she describes the competition. This is the top clip. The Amy, older white men.
Senator Elizabeth Warren has suspended her bid for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination, leaving the race down to two older white men, former Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders.
And she says
sexist,
that
man.
She says older white men a number of times, and then when she starts talking to people, they go off the deep end, complaining about racism and sexism.
Yeah, but ageism doesn't count.
Ageism apparently is okay with these folk,
and
so they go on and on. Now, I do have one clip that I did kind of enjoy. She brought on this guy, old socialist hack Norman Solomon, to come on, and they're of course defending one of the old white man, Bernie Sanders. But they were discussing, and I think pretty much what we've been saying for a very long time, the corruption of the media, and why we see a lot of anti-Trump corruption of the media. The anti-Bernie thing is, at least if you're a socialist, appears to be even worse. But they never make the jump to Trump. They will not see Trump be whatever they say about Trump's fine. But let's listen to this clip because I enjoy this. This is Norm Solomon on corporate media.
Let's face it, MSNBC and CNN, huge and powerful cable networks, have been engaged in all sorts of slander and innuendo and sometimes smears against Bernie Sanders. And for Rachel Maddow and MSNBC and other networks and media to act as though this is only coming from one direction and toward one direction is of a piece of a pattern of bias against Bernie Sanders that shouldn't be a surprise but should outrage us. These are corporate-owned entities. MSNBC is owned by Comcast, a very anti-labor, anti-consumer, huge corporation. They don't want Bernie Sanders to be president. He would tax their profits. He would challenge the prerogatives of the wealthy to determine the policies of the U.S. government. And overall, I think we should note that corporate media have been on an assault against Bernie Sanders. We've gone through several phases. A year ago, he was old news. Other candidates were saying the same things. Then when he stuck with Medicare for All, which is an affirmation of the human rights of all people, then he was portrayed as an extremist or too radical, out of step. Then we were told he had no chance to win the nomination. Then after New Hampshire and especially Nevada, he was being trashed. The mud was flying from corporate media to pretend that therefore progressives should stay neutral until the convention. I just don't understand that. We have Elizabeth Warren saying now that she's going to stay in the fight. Is the fight for Medicare for All? Is the fight against corporate power? If that fight is to affirm the human rights of all human beings, how can she stay neutral? This is very disturbing to me because every day goes by and Elizabeth Warren fails to endorse Bernie Sanders and go out and campaign for him is a de facto assistance to corporate power, to corporate America, and Joe Biden. And I don't think we should pretend anything else.
Wow. She was on SNL last night, Liz.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you catch it?
Yeah, I did. It was. She was pretty good, I have to say. They did a whole bit. And what's her name? Kate McKinnon. You know, she does Elizabeth Warren, and then so Elizabeth all of a sudden came on. She was answering questions. It's fuzzy, but it was good. But more importantly, Elizabeth Warren, and she's what, 70? I think she's just about 70.
No, she's over 70. She's like, well, she might just be 70.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
She's an old white woman. But if she got contacts, grew her hair back, and ran as a Republican, she'd have a shot. She's pretty good looking. Her neck, good skin. She does not look 70. And if you look at older pictures of her, she had some hottie in her. But you
have to go way back. She is exactly 70. Yes.
But she just needs to stop dressing like an hysterical nut job. This is just some advice from the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group.
She actually dresses like an 80-year-old woman.
Yes, she dresses older than she is. And it just, don't part it in the middle, get contacts. She could look really good.
She should go ask Hillary where she gets her hair done in Paris.
In Paris, yes. Woohoo! Exactly.
Some hairdo there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was good. She was good, but there's, she's still not exactly as Solomon said. She's not endorsing anyone. She's not helping Bernie. She's not helping anybody. She just, who the hell knows what she's doing?
She's not going to help Bernie. The party's going to be on her ass saying, look, do you like, look, Do you like this job of yours as a senator? You want to keep a support? You're going to stay in the party? You're going to become an independent? What are you going to do? If you're a Democrat, you're going to endorse Joe. And here's how you're going to do it. And they're going to give her a script. That's a good excuse for her to endorsing Joe. She is not going to endorse Bernie. There's no way. There's no way she's going to ever endorse Bernie. She can't do it. They won't let her.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, maybe she did hold out. Maybe she was holding out for a great deal. Maybe there's something. I don't know. We'll see. Kamala Harris endorsed Joe Biden. Kamala Harris, who stood there and said, I was one of those children you bust to school, Joe. And now she's all, this is the man. I trust him. He's great. Oh, please. Hypocrite. Kamala, hypocrite. Yeah.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank for show 1223.
Yes.
Beginning with, we did Sir Acid. So let's go to Sir Richard Hufford, $100. Loves the show. Keep it up. Sir Herb Lamb, the Earl of Georgia, 8008. Boob. A compliment for you on JRE.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Pettigrew. You know who he is?
Yes, in Monticello.
Well, he is our artist that did and he can't do art anymore, so he sent us in some money, and I got a note from him, and I want to read it.
Okay.
Got to figure out where it is. Here it is. It's a little longer than I'd like, but here it is. Dear Jack Benny in Rochester, I write to you in the response to the many kind words of appreciation that you both have heaped upon the Pete Buttigieg artwork I submitted. A special thanks goes to John, who has personally championed it, mentioning it on the show more than once and using it in the newsletter and posting about it on Twitter. That's true. It's because it's a great piece.
It's good, yeah.
I also write to apologize for the belatedness of this note. I should have responded quicker. You guys deserve better of your producers. I've not gone overboard and continue to be blessed by your wit and wisdom during these deranged times. The reason for my lack of artwork submissions in recent years is due to the fact that I can't listen to the show live anymore.
Right. Yeah, he told us that.
As you can imagine, this can be a difficult hurdle to overcome. The Pete Buttigieg art came after Trump called him Alfred E. Newman on Twitter. The hilarious image that conjured in my mind was just dying to be expressed in real life. As John has described on the show before, sometimes an artist just has to create.
That's right.
This is true in this case, and I couldn't help myself, despite the low possibilities of being selected. And that was the reason I wanted to read this note, is that we have another guy that's one of our artists, we won't mention who it is, who's always quitting. He'll get upset and I'm not going to do any more art. But he listens to the show, and this happens. Artists are artists.
Yep, they are.
And they can't not do it. And I just thought it was a sweet note.
That's a sweet note, and just it reminded me of last night, the former New York banker. I know who he wanted to be the candidate and who he thinks will be an excellent president next time around. Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah.
And I know this because I said, "Oh, CIA Pete, the white Obama." That was the wrong thing to say.
What did he think of that commentary?
He did not like that. Man, but he's the smartest guy. Yeah, he mumbled and I could see him. I backed off immediately. He was
You upset him.
I did.
You upset the apple cart.
I upset. Nah, that was early on in the evening, so it was still good. Everything turned out great later. After I sent them home with one of those cinnamon bottles from Jambo Joe. Everybody loves me now.
I'll bet. So Jim Zuko loves us. 6969. He came in from Beverly Hills, California with a donation. And he says, in this age of Corona, can John share his recipe for basmati rice? Thanks. I don't know what coronavirus has to do with it, but
you should consider publishing
I have it written up somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll post it.
Good.
Bobby Schramm in Dubuque, Iowa. Dubuque. He needs. He's $60, and him and his smoking hot wife need a de-douching.
Kate, yeah.
You've been de-douched.
Mark J, we'll call him because it's what it says on his note from American Fork, Utah, sent a note in that is again worth at least a little mention. He needs a de-douching.
Okie doke.
You've been de-douched.
He says he also, I didn't do this and I made a mistake. He needs to be on the birthday list.
Okay. Mark J. Yeah.
He's turning 50 on Saturday.
Okay. Mark J. 50 on Saturday. Done?
So he says the last 10 years have been a string of bad thing after another. Maybe some No Agenda karma will help put that at the end for you. He says, I first discovered No Agenda in the back of the early days when John mentioned on Twit that he was doing a podcast with the original and greatest host of Headbangers Ball.
Ricky Rackman.
What?
So I had to listen. And he says, I immediately connected with the show as you were talking about things I was noticing about the MSM that nobody else seemed to notice. And he says, I stupidly became a man overboard and it only returned in 2016, after the 2016 election.
That's all right. We're happy
and
you're
here's
here.
a PS, so I wanted to mention. He says he didn't know it was, we talked about this before. He didn't know it was saying, they were saying New World Order.
Oh, really?
I always thought he says, no, what a Oda.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? If it's that to you, it's all good. It's all good.
Onward. Marshall Bennett in Locust Hill, Virginia, 555. And he's got...
he says, I'm calling out the very person who hit me in the mouth, my father, as a douchebag. I also want to wish him happy birthday at the same time. He's on the list. Sorry, Dad, and happy birthday. Lots of love. Also need health karma and cancer karma from my mother-in-law who's battling cancer. Yes, we'll put that at the end for you. Thank you.
John Monaco, 5510, Highland Heights, Kentucky. Sir Mad Hatter, 5510.
And he'll be wishing Dame Jamie, the love of his life, a very happy birthday for March 10th, also on the list.
Micaiah Stoddard. I'm hoping I got that. 5510 in Oceanside, California. Also another douchebag call out here. He's got a, can you please call out Jew, J-O-O, Birmingham, as a major douchebag. Catherine, 5510 in New Hampshire, another birthday.
For Abel Kirby.
Yes.
He'll be turning 30 tomorrow. Abel Kirby, man, he does a lot of our great jingles.
Brian Burgess. Oh, does he?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me just, I'll play a shorty, one that you'll recognize. What is this? No, that's an Ender show. He has, what is this stuff he's doing here?
He's a day trader, better pick hard. Better sell hard. Better fight those algos.
He has a lot of end of show things.
Cool.
Yeah, what was this one?
Hey, Khashoggi. Who killed Khashoggi? Who killed him there?
Yeah, not gruesome at all. Nice. Mm-hmm. Sawing Khashoggi.
Onward, Brian Burgess in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota, 5405. Then we have Katrina Okerstrom Jazuski in Iowa City, Iowa, $50.30. And she's got a de-douching, needs a de-douching for starters.
You've been de-douched.
And then she's got a birthday call out, but it's also a douchebag call out for his dad, Brad Jazuski.
Douchebag. But it's for Andrew. She's donating for Andrew. Today's his 30th birthday. He's also on the list.
Brian Mosier, $50.01. Edward, and now we got $50 donors. We'll wrap this up. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee. Aloha Liebel in Newark, Delaware. Sir Franco in Cibolo, Texas. Larry Hay in Mooresville, North Carolina. Brian Hay with a birthday, some parts unknown. Has he got a dedouching?
Well, this is nice for Brian Hay as a birthday gift from his wife and kids. He's always saying he wants to donate more often. We aren't sure what a dedouching is, but we're pretty sure he'd appreciate one if this is enough for it in the morning. Yeah, we'll dedouche it.
You've been dedouched.
I love that. I mean, here's the white mom and the kids, and like, well, you could have gotten Old Spice or some damn socks. No, you give the man what he wants. Thank you. It's appreciated.
Mary Hoey, Hoey, 50. Sir Chris Abraham in Arlington, Virginia, but this is birthday day. We had a number of strings of days. There's a lot of birthdays. Is there anything in there that we need to do besides the birthday? Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. Brett Farrell, sir, I believe, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Viscount Alan Bean in Tigard, Oregon. Now, you remember that name. I have a note from him. I do have the note.
Who is this? Viscount Alan Bean? Is this the special letterhead?
No. This is the guy who's been giving us $50 checks since the beginning of the show from Oakland.
Okay.
This area has been such a draw to me. Now he's in Tigard, Oregon with our Grand Duke.
Huh.
This area is Sir Dwayne Mellon's son. This is a draw to me over the years. I've moved to Tigard, Oregon from Oakland. This is a recent move. We've only been here a week, and we're already very happy to have been done so. Both my wife and I are newly retired and look upon this move as a new adventure. Well, that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. Got out of California.
Nice.
Jason DeLuzio in Chatsford, Pennsylvania. No, that got out of Oakland.
Yeah.
Sir Kyle Meyer in Atlanta, Georgia, and last but not least, Jeffrey Zinneman, rhymes with cinnamon, in South Euclid, Ohio. I want to thank all these folks for contributing to show 1223 and keeping us going.
Yes, and everyone under 50, for brevity's sake, we don't credit that anymore, but under 50, that's where a lot of the subscriptions are. This is a great opportunity. Just get something recurring, and before you know it, you're at the round table. This goes quite fast, but also it really helps us through the slower periods to have something recurring. Whatever the value of the show is to you, $5, love it. $50, even better. Thank you so much. It is, after all, the best podcast in the universe, and you are the producers. So it's up to you to support us for the next show.
Dvorak.org/NA.
My request.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And we're looking at the calendar for the 8th of March, 2020. Here's who's celebrating or who has celebrated. Belated happy birthdays to Jackson Cuevas, who turned 21 on the 1st. Marshall Bennett says happy birthday to his father. Sir Mad Hatter says happy birthday to Dame Jamie. She'll be celebrating on the 10th. Catherine says happy birthday to her brother Abel Kirby. He'll be turning 30 tomorrow. And Katharina Okerstrom Jezuski says happy birthday to her husband Andrew. He turns 30 today. Brian Hay is celebrating. Sir Chris Abraham turns 50 today. Robert Zogel turns 65. And on Saturday, Mark J. will turn 50 years old. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. 1, 2, 3 knightings for today. So I could just do with a medium blade if you are ready for that.
There it is.
Perfect. Thank you. Up on stage, Jeff in Cincinnati, Anonymous, and Robert Zogel. Gentlemen, all three of you are about to join the No Agenda Roundtable of the Knights and the Dames. That's where they all sit and where you will take place after I pronounce the Sir Techno Expert, Sir Anonymous, Baron of ADFC, and Sir Robert of the Smoky Mountain Brass. Gentlemen, for you, Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Warm Beer and Cold Women, Captain Morgans and women with questionable reputations, Kebab and Persian Wine, Redheads and Ryes, Organic Macaroni and Plasticizers, Breast Milk and Pablum, Sparkling Cider and Escorts, Bong Hits and Bourbon. Let's see, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Geishas and Sake, and of course we've got Mutton and Mead. And as discussed, you will receive your ring, your sealing wax, and your official certificate after you go to noagendanation.com/rings. Fill out your info. Eric the Shield will get that off to you as soon as possible, as soon as China's shipping them again. Are we expecting any? How does that work? Do people run out of T-shirts in the world? I mean, I wonder. I wonder. There's got to be a lot of cheap stuff from China that we're not going to see anymore. And I have a question for you. There is talk of an oil war. Saudi Aramco slashing crude pricing, apparently trying to destroy OPEC, screw with Russia. Have you followed any of this?
No, but I do have a clip, okay. Although you have to do your meetup report first, I believe.
Oh, shoot, man. Thank you. You're so right.
No agenda meetup.
It is like a party. Actually, I have thank you for reminding me, John. I do have a meetup report. This is the Miami Beach meetup report.
In the morning, this is the Miami meetup on Friday, March 6th.
We're at the Hookah and More in North Miami. This is Greg in the morning, everybody.
Hey, Gitmo Nation, this is Prem, and I have to call myself out as a douchebag.
Hey, this is Alex from previously Panama, then later Italy, and now in Belgium. Thank you for, I don't know.
Let's do it in the morning. 1, 2, 3.
In the morning!
A small but dedicated meetup. These are meetings that people go to. Sometimes we're able to attend in different parts of the world, but people like to get together. They know that when they're a part of the tribe, that there's no triggering. Everyone can talk openly, freely. Don't have to worry about someone getting all mad about anything. And they meet up and have food and drinks and hang out. And it's all walks of life, all race, creeds, religion, backgrounds, ages. It's well worth it. And we've got a couple coming up this week. Tuesday in Toronto, it is the Meet Up, MEAT, and that will be at Union Chicken. Look for Bishop, your organizer. Thursday in Monroe, Connecticut, Sprawl, to be exact, in Monroe, which has a diaper changing station. Meet at Republic Kitchen. Dame Jamie organizing for you. Also this coming Thursday, No Agenda Local 512, March, Sunset Valley, Texas. This is Sir Scott, Black Baronet of the No Agenda Armory. I may try to go to that one on Thursday, mainly because Sir Scott says he's got some beautiful fresh venison for me. And yeah, I know. Like, I'll come to the meetup for that. I woke you up. And then Friday, the Mississippi Rocket Ranch. This is a meetup at the John C. Stennis Space Center in South Mississippi's Hancock County.
Nice.
And you got to RSVP 48 hours prior to the event for access to the meetup site. How cool is that? John Horner is organizing that. Also,
finally, a good reason for an RSVP.
Yes. Colorado Local 5280 in Denver. That's the first ever Denver Local 5280 meetup, and they're on a 6-week cycle. Hofbrau in Colorado. George Pradell is hosting that for you. And then Friday, the Charlotte meetup, Friday the 13th, Spooktacular. That will be at Sycamore Brewing, Cameron hosting for you. And what does this say? Friday, Amsterdam No Agenda meets top. Oh, what is this? Meets top. I think there's a meeting of. I think this is Roderick Velo's podcast group. Maybe meeting with ours in Amsterdam. Yeah, well, it sounds like
That'd be fun.
It's a Lokai van de Stad. And Entrepreneurio is organizing that for you. For all the details, go to noagendameetups.com. If you can't find something there, you can start your own. It's free, it's easy, it's available, and you'll meet incredibly fun children from other lands. Noagendameetups.com. It's like a party!
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Thank you for reminding me of that, John. Now back to this this oil war. It looks like we're like at $45 a barrel now, and it could go down. Some say to 28.
Yeah, I saw a clip years ago that Saudi Arabia can make money at 20 because it comes out so easy.
Yeah, but Putin can't.
There's something else going on there too. I want to play this clip. This is about some Saudi Arabian intrigue.
Okay.
At least 4 members of the Saudi royal family are being detained, according to reports in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. The Saudi princes were reportedly taken into custody for allegedly plotting to oust King Salman and the king's designated successor, his son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. 2 of the men, the king's brother, Prince Ahmed bin Abdulaziz, and his nephew, Prince Mohammed bin Nayef, were arrested in their homes and charged with treason. Nayef had been crown prince until 2017, when King Salman replaced him with his son, Mohammed bin Salman, known as MBS. Saudi officials did not comment on the 4 arrests as of Saturday afternoon.
So from Bloomberg, Saudi Arabia kicked off an all-out oil war on Saturday, slashing official pricing for its crude, making the deepest cuts in the last 20 years on its main grades in a bid to push as many barrels into the market as possible. The cuts in monthly pricing by state producer Saudi Aramco are the first indication of how the Saudis will respond to the breakup of the alliance between OPEC and partners like Russia. The kingdom plans to accompany the price cuts with a hike in crude supply. So they're going to flood the market. I got people in Texas emailing me saying they're worried because we can't go much under $50, I think, for our shale.
No, shale, no. 50 is definitely the
bottom, right?
Yeah, you can't do it. Otherwise, it's just there's no money.
Saudi Aramco lowered April pricing for its crude sales to Asia by $4 to $6 a barrel and to the U.S. by $7 a barrel. And then, Putin's also starting to dump now. Now,
the Russians don't have...
Well, I think they're trying to crush Russia.
They have a price floor, too, that it's not much lower than what it is.
No.
So, I don't know. Maybe this is part of a giant scheme.
Maybe it's part of the whole Syria thing. It's all about oil there too, and so maybe someone stepped on somebody's toes. But yes, I've read. I don't know if I can find it anywhere here, but I think I read that the incarceration. Because when I read the story, I'm like, is this an old story about MBS incarcerating his family? But no, it's happening again.
There's a rumor that King Salman, his dad,
that he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, you heard that too.
Yeah. So what happens? Could this, if they really go down to 28? I mean, won't we have an oil crisis again, like in the 70s? Isn't that exactly what happened?
No, in the 70s the price went up, not down.
Oh, what am I thinking of then? Well, so
I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, you lower the price of oil and the economies all perk up because it's cheap energy. So cheap energy means...
Well, wait. Here we go. This is Trump with his buddies. Remember his orb friends? They all stood at the orb. And he said, hey, MBS, bruh, let's put Putin out of business, man. How about that for a strategy?
Well, it'll definitely hurt Putin. Mm-hmm. It'll hurt some of our oil suppliers, mostly the frackers.
Yep.
It won't change much with the drillers. And I don't know. I mean, I'm watching it closely, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, but it's very weird. It's very odd. There's no reason for it unless something's going on. There's something afoot.
Okay, well, I expect to know. I expect to know more by Thursday, I hope. AOC was on Seth Meyers. We haven't played any AOC stuff in a while. If you're interested.
Yeah, I'm always interested in whatever she has to say.
Well, and this caught my eye because people are like upset because she said illegal aliens should vote in the or should participate in the census. And of course, there's all kinds of people, particularly on the right, who are triggered by that. But as far as I know, the idea is everybody signs it. I mean, it states quite specifically in the FAQs that I read on the census.gov site that yes, If you want money to go to your community, your city, your town, whatever, even if you're there undocumented, you should participate in the census. So she's not saying anything out of the ordinary, but I guess this stems from the potential question that the Trump administration was toying with putting on, which was, are you here legally or not? Or I think, was it citizen or resident alien? Anyway, here she is.
Another thing that will have huge implications, not just on this election, but the next decade, is the census. Can you speak about how you're approaching that and how, we're just trying to explain to people exactly how important it is.
This is such a setup. So y'all come on if you let me talk about this.
So we are all going to get census forms or a prompt. We're all going to get mailed a prompt to fill out the census in the next 2 weeks or so. And so I think what's really important is that we all fill this out. It happens once every 10 years. Every single person, no matter your documentation status, no matter your housing status, income, etc., is to be counted. And it determines how much our schools are going to get funded, how much infrastructure gets invested, and of course, how many members of Congress each community gets. And if you get undercounted, in some parts of New York City, some communities, the self-reporting is about half of what we think it should be. And that has real impacts on apportionment of how many teachers that your local schools get. So it's really important. It's completely confidential, and it's even confidential within the federal government. Your census data is not shared with any other federal agency at all. So don't worry if you're having a creative living situation and it's not going to be told to your landlord or anything crazy like that. Don't worry. Totally safe.
A good tip for my viewers.
Such a phony dude, that. Now, this is also, the census is also used for redistricting, so it's very important to have everyone counted. Certainly if you have people who will be sympathetic to AOC, such as undocumented immigrants. I don't think she's going to get reelected, by the way. I think she's out. All of these, the whole squad, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some movement against them as well. They'll get out.
Well, the party's fed up with them.
Yeah. And she, so there's one other clip here, a short one that I have. I was surprised by this, and as a citizen, as a taxpayer, somewhat irked.
I'm very happy to see you got some companionship for yourself. I would imagine Washington, even though it's crowded with people, can be very lonely. Yeah. You got a new dog.
Yes,
this is
Deco.
These are very attractive photos of Deco. Were these professionally done?
This was taken in the House Rules Committee. He was a doggy chairman of the day. He rotates, so there's a cast of characters, and so they very graciously invite the dogs of many members.
Oh, so this was not a special treatment for you. It's a rotating set of dogs.
Yeah, it's a thing. So there's a lot of different doggy chairs of the day.
That's great. By the way, I don't know why that's not on C-SPAN, because
it should be.
It should be, because C-SPAN is boring and needs more dogs.
It would be like Puppy Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
So they take time to bring their dogs into the chambers, and they have professional photographers, and they put their little dog with a little sign with his name, and they take a picture of it, and he's the chair dog. Really?
I can see why you're irked.
Dogs are people, too.
And with this behavior, you're putting us into the debt trap of Japan. She's the one saying you can't have children because of climate change. Well, look at Japan and enjoy your future, AOC. You should change your tune, young lady.
I had gotten a couple of clips to finish things up. I want to get at least one. I want the tensions on the Greek border so we catch up with that little problem that's becoming a mess, which is not being reported. The PBS does report it on Saturday.
Tensions on Greece's border with Turkey escalated today as migrants trying to get into Europe faced off with Greek police. Authorities used tear gas to try and disperse a group of migrants armed with rocks who tried to tear down a border fence. At least 2 people were reportedly injured in today's clashes. Greek police have been clashing with Syrian migrants trying to cross into the country since Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan opened the border last week. Greek officials said that the tear gas and water cannons were used for, quote, deterrence purposes.
man, it's such a mess.
It's a total mess.
I hear that there's now a new movement starting for Nexit for the Netherlands. They want to Nexit.
Yeah? How's that going to work?
What do you mean, how is it going to work?
Well, they're landlocked. They're right in the middle of landlocked. I mean, they're not landlocked, but they're right in the middle of they're right in the guts of Europe. I mean, it's not like England's an island over there, someplace they can kind of maybe pull it off. I don't know if they could pull it off.
Well, I'm just reporting.
I mean, I'd push for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it. In fact, I talked to the former New York banker last night. I said, what do they do with the euro? Because that's a problem. He said, that's a real problem. To do a Brexit-type move while
you're in the Eurozone, yeah.
Well, what he said was they should bring back the guilder and peg it to the euro, but then at the price that it went in. So the biggest complaint when the guilder turned to the euro is you got 50 cents for it was 2 guilders to the euro. And so you'd buy a cup of coffee, a week before this changed over, and it cost 3 guilders. And a couple weeks later, it was 3 euros.
They have the Italy, too.
Oh, yeah. So I think it was 2.20 or something was the exact number. So he says, peg it back to, so that would be, 60 cents or whatever, and introduce the guilder at that price, but peg it to the euro for 5 years, and then you can always change that later. But still,
that would cause a boom in the economy.
Oh, my God. It would be so good.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Hey, do we have an end of show ISO, or are you leaving me high and dry?
I don't
here?
have any ISOs. I do have one little end of show kind of sad story, kind of, but it's interesting.
That's not good for end of show.
No, it's not that sad. Okay. It's the fact that Rosalind P. Walter, who you've heard her name a million times, she financed half of PBS, died. And
yes,
she's a rich woman. She was a inheritor of Schwab and company. Your dad founded the drug company. Super rich. But there's a kicker in this story about her. Rosalind P. Walter, who nobody knows who she is, but she was Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, with the muscle arm?
And the muscle arm in World War II.
Wow, really?
I found that to be fascinating. And it's a very strange story, but about her in general, because she was her parents wouldn't let her go to college for probably the same reasons you shouldn't go to college today. And it's just I thought it would be a good obit. We don't play them on the show too much, but this one was kind of fascinating. It was run on a Saturday, of course, so nobody got to hear it.
The more you know in the morning.
This week, Rosalind P. Walter, one of the most generous and devoted supporters of PBS programming, including the NewsHour and NewsHour Weekend, died at age 95. Her name has been a constant on the credits of programs like American Masters, which she helped launch, to Great Performances, to Ken and Rick Burns documentaries, and dozens of other programs since the mid-1970s. Rosalind P. Walter served as a trustee at WNET for more than 30 years and became the station's most generous individual supporter in its history. But most people don't know that Rosalind P. Walter was also the inspiration for a 1942 hit song, Rosie the Riveter, and the posters honoring the women who worked in U.S. factories during World War II.
She's making history, working for victory, Rosie the Riveter.
In the early years of World War II, Roz worked as a riveter on the night shift at a Long Island aircraft plant, making the Corsair fighter planes.
From one end, they had to find out where the women could earn the same pay by doing the same job, so they timed me after I'd learned them all. And I broke all the men's records. So they had to pay the women the same amount.
She was never known as Rosie, always Roz, but the song was born. Rosalind P. Walter was born into a privileged, wealthy family. Her father was president and chairman of the pharmaceutical company E.R. Squibb & Sons, and her mother was a well-known educator, poet, and writer. But her parents refused to allow Rosalind to attend college. She once said that she chose public television as the focus of her philanthropy because she, quote, wanted all Americans, whether they were rich or poor, well-educated or not so well-educated, to have equal access to news and knowledge and the arts. Her legacy is ours to carry on. Thank you, Rosalind P. Walter.
Oh, that is a nice note to leave on. It's nice.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. When I die, I want a plaque. I want a plaque. And I want a PBS Saturday thing. I want a plaque, please.
Plaques are good.
Coming up next on NoAgendaStream.com, which you should be listening to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Baron Sir Mathieu's brand new show, Maps with Matt. So it's a debut on NoAgendaStream.com. Oh, nice. You get the Super Bowl lead-in. All right. End of show mixes from Jesse Coy Nelson, our very own John Fletcher, and Sir Seatsitter. And we look forward to returning with you on Thursday. You never know what'll be happening in the meantime, especially on show days. And coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region number 6 on the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where there are bald heads and fists in the air, and I don't care. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Until then, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. And adios, mofos, and such.
Completely illogical what's going on. Sadly, we're reacting in all the wrong ways. I mean, my favorite part of this script as it unravels was the Pope sneezing and coughing like, oh my God. If the Pope dies, this will freak out the world. We're conditioned through horror movies for this.
We're conditioned?
So we're primed. We're primed to be suckered into something.
Someone was trying to talk to me about that.
Whatever's going on with the pandemic, there's always something going on in the background.
Do you think whenever there's something going on with the pandemic, then they use it as an opportunity to sneak stuff in the background?
Yes. So you have a bill, and the bill will be financing for coronavirus, whatever that means.
So this is when you move in with new legislation and you stuff a bunch of shit in that bill.
Piece of the Patriot Act may actually get passed in that. Like $1.5 million was already kind of there. You cannot vote against this shit. Because how can you vote against Pandemic Saver?
How can you vote against Patriot?
You cannot vote against this shit. Pandemic Saver.
This whole thing is very, very spooky.
There's all kinds of weird shit. You cannot vote against this shit.
How can you vote against Patriot? So this is when you move in with new legislation.
Yeah. I'm gonna go learn some fucking Muay Thai. I'm gonna kick you on your fucking head. Pow! Bling blong.
It was awesome, man. But anyway, the problem is the joking around about it while death is happening.
This message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic.
This video is about the coronavirus and how it is another Illuminati scam. Now, the first thing that got my attention was that Wuhan is a major city with 11 million people. Remember, 11 is a Masonic number.
A story going around today claims that many people think the illness sweeping the globe is connected to Corona the beer. It's true. Google searches have spiked since January the 18th for the terms beer coronavirus. So far, Corona Beer's parent company has yet to comment about this.
And overseas, many popular tourist destinations are eerily quiet due to coronavirus concerns. The waterways of Venice are largely empty, and the Louvre in Paris is closed today as more infections are confirmed across Europe.
Hundreds of shoppers rush into a Los Angeles Costco this morning with this warning: supplies are being rationed to keep up with the unprecedented coronavirus panic shopping. Customers run down store aisles at full speed and then quickly start loading up their carts.
Yesterday, during a segment on the exchange, I said maybe it would be a good idea to expose everybody to the coronavirus. Maybe it would be better off for the global economy or the markets in general. It was the dumbest, most ignorant, stupid thing anybody could have ever said.
I think an epidemic, either naturally caused or intentionally caused, is the most likely thing to cause, say, 10 million excess deaths.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu. I've been working with a shattered pelvis for 3 weeks.
I am going to avoid small aircraft, hot tubs, canoeing in any water in D.C. and What else should I be on the lookout for?
What are you doing?
Well, I laid out the vape wars. I explained the scandal.
Oh.
And I took it, and I've become like a hero of the vape community all of a sudden.
Uh-oh.
Sitting in his car before the Rogan show. What should he talk about? He didn't know. But he got out the car. He was living the dream. He had an idea for the non-live stream. Adam blew a thick cloud from his favorite vape. And then he put on his favorite vape man cave. Brought up the vape wars in the second hour. And once he hit that blunt, he knew for sure that he had to protect that vape in his hand. So he went on and long vape wars ran. He exposed Nyquil on the big show, and now he's on the run from Marlboro. So he ran back closet, ain't never gonna stop, gonna keep on talking. Gonna keep open his favorite vape shop and be a great horse hero. Stay out of hot tubs. Be a great horse hero. Stay out of hot tubs. Running from big tobacco. Stay out of hot tubs. I hope the day you get too excited, but it's probably gonna happen. Try to put money on it.
And the vape community is like, I'm the hero. I'm the hero of the vapors. I need a vape cape.
Wow, you're going to have the vapors.
But as I was thinking about it, and actually Rogan made me think about it, he says this is like kind of like who killed the electric car. And I thought to myself, oh crap, I got to be careful.
Yeah, I'd be stay out of the hot tubs.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA. They've gone nuts.
start showboating, but I think I made a spaceship to travel into space with. So pack a big old suitcase and travel into deep space. I'll need a few crew members. We're leaving this December.
No Agenda Live. High quality podcasts. You're listening to the No Agenda stream.
Longitude, latitude, cartography with attitude. This is Maps with Matt.
Well, hello, and welcome to the first episode of Maps with Matt. My name is Mathieu Elie, and I'll be your host. On this first episode, we'll be looking at a bit of a background on me, and also a bit of background on maps. And so let's get started. So who am I? What am I doing here? Why am I doing a podcast about maps? Well, first, both of my parents worked in earth sciences. My father has a master's thesis in geology, and my mother also taught geography for pretty much 35 years, actually. Now, both are retired, but I was brought up with earth sciences all my life. I roamed around the forests in the Gatineau Park, and my father taught me about minerals, rocks, geology, evolution, all that good stuff. So let's say that I was predestined to eventually work in earth sciences. Well, after high school, I went to college, and I wasn't a great student. I started in human sciences, doing psychology and all that stuff, but I only did one session, and I just dropped off. I didn't know what to do with my life, and it was back in 2006. So eventually, I met someone that did surveying here in the region, and my parents, seeing that I didn't have any bearing in my life, told me that, well, take the job, do it, explore the world, do something, gain some experience, and maybe you'll find something that you like. And it grew on me. I gained a lot of experience, had quite a bit of fun. And from that point on, my mother found an ad in the paper, and it was about a program at the same college that I dropped out of. And it was a program for geomatics technician, 3 years. and you get out with a diploma. And I said, why the heck not? Let's try something. Let's do something with our life. And in the fall of 2008, I went into class for my first session of studying geomatics. In a strange turn of events, in the winter of 2009, I met an old friend who I was with in the Scouts back when I was in primary school. And he actually worked for his father. His father was a surveyor also. And he asked me if I needed a summer job for this summer that was coming for 2009. So I told him I already had some experience in surveying. So why the heck not yet again? And so between my college sessions and the summers, I did surveying and learned about mapping, geomatics, cartography, everything you need to know. Just the basics though. Just enough to get you started in the real world. At the end of my studies, I had to do an internship, and it's the same place I've been working at since then. And I've been doing maps for the province for almost 6 years now. During that time, a friend of mine introduced me to No Agenda, of course. I need to at least mention my mentors here. And I've been listening to No Agenda ever since. So this is why I'm doing a podcast right now. I've been marinating with those guys for almost 8 years. And I always had the idea of doing something about mapping, but never quite got around the main subject and also the courage to do it, because podcasting is not easy. I'm looking at you, Darren. And so here I am doing a podcast about mapping. And I want to do this in two ways. One is to learn about cartography for myself and also try to be educational at the same time. And as you can notice, English is not my first language. French is my first language. And therefore, the second part of doing this podcast is learning English and honing my skills. But I digress. Enough about me. What about maps? That's what we're here for, right? Where do we begin in this beautiful adventure of learning about cartography and maps? Let's begin with, what do we do with maps? What do they eat during the winter? Mapping can be splitted in two categories. You would have the Earth mapping and then space mapping. For Earth mapping, we can just generalize here and go with what we know from everyday life. So road networks, we've got also hydrography, so rivers, lakes, ponds, all that good stuff. Elevation also, so you'll have mountains, you'll have LiDAR for laser detection for elevation. You'll have also the weather, so winds map, atmospheric pressure, radar also, and precipitations related to radar, of course. But mainly studies and analysis of the environment around us. Let's do a small bit on the etymology of the word cartography, because words do have an origin. Its origins are from the Greek kartais, which means literally maps, and grapho, which means write. The first appearance of the word cartography was around 1840, where cartography was used in a French book called Essai sur l'histoire de la cosmographie et de la cartographie. And a small translation that I did on the side is an essay on the history of cosmography and cartography also. This book studied the progress of geography since the great discoveries of the 15th century. The Portuguese and the Spaniards that discovered the Americas, and this will be actually discussed in a future episode about 15th century cartography. This book in particular was an introduction actually for a larger book that was called Atlas composé de mapmondes, de portulans et de cartes hydrographiques et historiques depuis le 6e siècle jusqu'au 17e siècle, or Composed Atlas of Hydrographic and Historic World and Portoland Maps between the 6th and 17th century. A new word to add to your vocabulary now is Portoland map, which it's technically just a map with different ports where boats could stop and sell their goods. So there you have it. The origin of the word cartography took its roots in the French language, and eventually around the 1940s, some say around 1849, was the official adoption of the word cartography in French and also in English. All right. Now that the academic stuff is out of the way, let's start talking about the history of maps. But first, where do we begin? Where do we start this wonderful adventure of the history of mapping? Because, as you all know, Earth is a pretty big place. So starting to search around and lifting rocks, looking under, trying to figure out traces left by our ancestors about mapping is quite challenging. And everybody knows we start with archaeology and we start with prehistory. So that's where we'll begin. The oldest known map in the world was found in the Czech Republic in 1962. In the area known as Moravia, which is the oldest known Paleolithic archaeological site so far. Some artifacts there are dated almost to 600,000 years. Some statuettes of pregnant women and all that stuff. Very interesting stuff. But they found a mammoth tusk with different carvings in it. It's estimated to be around 25,000 years old, and the engravings in it are believed to be a depiction of the surrounding hills. To quote the Archaeological Institute of America, the smooth apex of the mammoth tusk is covered with an engraved complex geometric ornament, which, in the interpretation of, and pardon my Czech, Bohuslav Klima, represents a schematic map of the Pavlov Hills. It is the oldest known graphic depiction of space, a depiction of the hunting landscape where the valleys of the Mandarin Dij River and the slope of Palava are reduced to extract patterns and symbols with a particular metaphorical meaning understandable for groups of hunter-gatherers of their time. So this engraving is interpreted as probably the oldest map in the world, end quote. We don't have a lot of information regarding this mammoth tusk, but it is displayed today in the Pavlov Archaeological Museum in the Czech Republic. Now let's go west, on the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, in Spain, in the province of Navarre, where in a cave they found a bunch of polished sandstone blocks with engravings on them and pictograms. The artifacts in those caves are estimated to be around 14,000 years old. Similar to the mammoth tusk, it represents the surrounding area. Side note here. These artifacts, the mammoth tusk and the tablets, those are not actual maps. There is still debate to this day if they are maps or just actual drawings. The interpretation of those are done by the archaeologists that found them. They take into account the surrounding areas, the period, and they try to figure out what it was used for. By definition, it's maps, but not in the conventional or modern way we see maps today. Let's say it's the ancient version of scribbling on a napkin the directions for the nearest hotel. In this case, possibly for hunting or gathering. With what we found around the world, though, Earth and its landscapes wasn't a mapping priority for the ancient people. They probably knew, like the back of their hand, the surroundings, and oral tradition being quite trendy at those times, they left very little behind for us to study today. The stars, though, were often the first thing our ancestors mapped, from what we discovered over the years. And these are actual maps, without a doubt. There is still a bit of debate, though, for the mapping and precision of those maps. But it's quite clear it's the night sky. Our ancestors used these maps for a plethora of things, mostly for timekeeping like seasons. This is directly related to the switch between nomad living and sedentary living and the advent of agriculture, of course. When do we plant this? When do we harvest? Is winter coming? Now, let's go to France, in a place called Vallée de la Vézère. It's situated in the southwest of France. We find there a very unique cave, and not any cave. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The name is Lascaux. For the spelling, it's Lima Alpha Sierra, Charlie Alpha Uniform X-Ray. The story surrounding its discovery is still debated to this day. The most common and popular one goes like this. It's September of 1940, in the beginning of World War II, and war is raging. The Axis occupy half of France already, including the city of Bordeaux. 70 miles east of the city, in a small village called Montignac, an 18-year-old boy named Marcel Revida was walking his dog in the countryside. At one point, the dog spots a rabbit and starts running after it, of course. The chase ended near a fallen tree. Marcel saw a small hole where the rabbit went, about 8 inches in diameter. Throwing rocks in the hole, he realized that the hole opened up on a cavity, a big one. 4 days later, he came back with 4 of his friends with an oil lamp and a knife to open up the hole. They lowered themselves in the shaft of the cave, thinking it was a secret entrance to the manor that wasn't too far from there. The boys soon found out that not only the cave was not a secret passage, but that it was ornamented with hundreds of parietal wall paintings. Later on, Maurice went back to his house and told his parents. One thing led to another, and in December of 1940, the cavern is already registered as a historic monument despite the war raging on. The cave is a vast network of tunnels spanning on 235 meters or 770 feet. The walls are covered with about 6,000 drawings spanning from human depictions to animals and symbology. But one drawing did catch the attention of archaeologists. It is a dotted map of the night sky from 10,000 years ago, depicting the summer triangle composed of the stars Altair, which is part of the Aquila constellation, Deneb, which is part of the Cygnus constellation, and Vega, which is part of the Lyra constellation. They also found a representation of the Pleiades constellation. Yet again, as to why these specific constellations are painted on the walls of the cave is still a mystery. Some say it was for rituals, even shamanic ceremonies. To conclude this introduction of ancient maps, I have a special treat just for you. This one is called the Bedolina map. It is found in the Camonica Valley in the Alps in the Lombardy region. It is a petroglyph dated at around 3000 to 1000 BC, so the end of the Bronze Age. The map is considered the oldest official topographical map, unlike the previous maps where there is still doubt and debate about their status when it comes to a proper map. This map is around 9 meters by 4 meters, or 30 feet by 13 feet. The petroglyphs represent the rivers, fields, mountains, roads, and villages of that area. In total, we find 109 drawings on this stone. From what archaeologists could find, the map was made in layers over a long period of time, probably spanning from the end of the Bronze Age to the beginning of the Iron Age. They separated different layers into phases that were engraved in the rock at different times. In chronological order, we have the first drawings of animals and hunters with checkered figures, like little squares. The second is the whole topographical map. The third is the addition later on of other figures, this time of warriors and a particular symbol called Camunian rose, often found in other petroglyphs in that area. And the fourth and last layer is the addition of other human figures. Studies of this map shows that this might be a clue in the Neolithic revolution, where the line is drawn between hunter-gatherers and the advent of agriculture and a more sedentary style of living. The map depicts what appears to be a plan of the irrigation system between the fields, the specialization of certain cultures in those fields, and also a rudimentary land register of the ownership and the demarcation of the different plots of land. It is a beautiful piece of work. It's very nice to look at. I strongly suggest that you look it up. You spell it Bravo, Echo, Delta, Oscar, Lima, India, November, Alpha for Bedolina map. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art. Lots of details. Most of the studies, though, were done in Italian. My Italian is not so good, so there is not a lot of information in English or in French about this particular petroglyph, but you still have wiki pages and some pictures on the internet about this particular map. And there you have it. This concludes the first episode of Maps with Matt. We've only begun this little adventure of ours. It was just a small introduction to this wonderful world. On the next episode, we will explore the maps done during the Babylonian era. Fascinating stuff. So stay tuned. This podcast wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the wonderful people of the No Agenda community. I first need to give a huge shout out and an even bigger thank you to John Fletcher and Carolyn Blaney for this beautiful introduction jingle they've made. You can listen to their podcast called Hog Story every Monday night live at 7 Central on the No Agenda stream or their own live stream. If you enjoy old big band music from the 30s and 40s like I do, the Hog Story stream is perfect for you. Just visit hogstory.net for more details and a direct link for their live stream and also previous episodes. And a second shout out goes directly to Darren O'Neill, the man with 1,000 podcasts. Without him, I wouldn't be doing this. He helped me set up all the infrastructure and also mentored me for the production of this podcast. So Darren, a big thank you to you. Darren has 2 podcasts, Random Thoughts. You can find him at randomthoughts.com. So it's RANDUMB, thoughts.com, and also Grumpy Old Ben's, hosted by him and Ryan Bemrose. Two old guys shouting at the cloud. If you're a tech guy, you're gonna love this. You can find them at grumpyoldbens.com, and also you can listen to the live show on Friday, 11 Central on the No Agenda stream. But wait, I have no sponsors? Let me check. Nope. No sponsors here. Maybe around here? Nope. No sponsors here. Maybe if I check under my desk. Nope. No sponsors. What is this, sorcery? Not exactly. This podcast is produced by you. Yes, you. It is a value for value podcast. If you find value in this show, send some value back, either by sending a donation on my website, mapswithmatt.com, or just send feedback. Send artwork, jingles, information, corrections even. I can't always be right. This is my first rodeo though, so I might do rookie mistakes, but that is all part of the learning process of doing this. You can follow me on Twitter at Elimat, spelled Hotel Echo Lima, India Echo Mike, Alpha Tango. And there you go. I'm Mathieu Elie, and until next time, keep on mapping.
You have been listening to Maps with Matt. See you next time. Next time. See you next time. Maps with Matt. See you next time. Next time. See you
This is Nick the Rat, and I love the No Agenda stream, the best podcast, information, and entertainment stream in all streamdoms. There's a lot of streams out there, but this is the best.
Astra Arta, she perched upon my knee and breathed out an armada. She swept me like loose tea into the fading light. We crouched beneath a crumbling clouds like funeral wreaths. It tastes like Barretta. A voice like a car crash and words like a carnal sound. Hand in hand on the motorway. What was her name?
her backside street. She trod her loss in me, a footprint in wet concrete. She left me a burnt tree in her perpetual love. Pouring hard and pumping rain. What was her name? Ancient laurel-headed philosophers say you don't know what you've got until you've pissed it down the drain.
Podcast around the clock. This is the No Agenda stream.
See, that builds character. Everybody needs to flip off their 7-year-old kid once in a while, just because the kid needs to realize that not everybody in the world is here to make you feel safe and happy.
Hello and welcome to episode number 53 of Grumpy Old Bens. I am Darren O'Neill, coming to you live from a bunker deep in the heart of Middle America, just outside of Chirac, where there might be a little bit of coronavirus out there, but there's still way more bullets in the air.
And from America's left coast, where they know if you've been sleeping and they know if you're awake because Google is already in town. I'm Ryan Bemrose.
Well, it's not just Google. Everybody's watching you, man. How are you? We need a health check on you because watching...
We don't. Just hook into one of the many Illegal surveillance feeds. You'll find something, I'm sure.
We could just watch you 24/7 because according to the news, Seattle is like ground zero, man. I've seen multiple stories saying Seattle is like a ghost town. They're telling over 60s to stay home. What's going on out there?
People are panicking and freaking out and doing exactly the normal thing. Don't worry. Okay, this is a public service announcement from Grumpy Old Bens. Do not worry about this quote unquote epidemic or pandemic or whatever it is. I think that if the mainstream media had their way, we'd all already be dead by now, and they'd be just talking to lifeless corpses because that's almost macabre enough for them. But I can tell you that solution is on its way because Congress has approved the funding bill to fight coronavirus with all of its billions of dollars in pork and extra projects and renewal for unpopular programs. And as soon as that thing's passed, I guarantee you that the coronavirus scare will be over.
Nothing helps the economy like spending more money and more money and more money in stocks. Well, I mean, if you have any money in stocks,
once I do.
It's been a bad week.
No, they're doing whatever the fuck they want to do. I don't care. No, the important thing is that just to know that as soon as the bill is passed, all of your money that is being stolen from you by men with guns at the IRS, all of that money will have been allocated to some elite's pet projects. I haven't even looked at it. I'm waiting for No Agenda to figure out exactly who got the pork barrel stuff, but I know it's in there. And as soon as all of that has been allocated and sent and the money is committed and, sent off to whatever corrupt assholes out there, then there won't be any more reason to hype this. And you can stop hearing about it every 5 fucking minutes from everybody you talk to. I tell you what, I posted the other day on No Agenda Social. I really like this one, that the best feature of the virus hitting this area is that the state government was falling over themselves so much to try to appear to be doing something about it that they've momentarily forgotten their illegal crusade against the Second Amendment.
So they're not worried about guns right now.
No, they'll remember about guns and like, oh my God, they still exist in a couple of weeks. But right now they're like, oh my God, there's this thing that everybody is freaked out about and they don't think that I'm compassionate enough.
Yeah,
that is what goes through their heads, I think.
That sounds about right. And Adam Curry, the Podfather, did just post about that $8 billion bill. And it's just breaking news as we're starting Grumpy Old Ben's here on Friday morning. And we expect by Sunday that Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak on the No Agenda show will have the full breakdown. But I mean, Trump wanted like 1.5 or something billion, and they passed 8. So I mean, when you ask for 1.5, of course you get 8.
That's $6.5 billion given to the deep state and to pork barrel projects and to shit that I guarantee, if we were thinking rationally, that you and I and the general public, or at least you and I, because the general public never thinks rationally, would definitely disapprove of.
Well, yes.
Trump would be like, yes, we need billions to fight this virus that's going to go away on its own as soon as we stop hyping it. And Congress is like, okay, but make sure that we have an opportunity to tackle. I mean, they're going to renew FISA. They're going to renew the Patriot Act. They're going to allocate more billions for NSA programs with Facebook and Google and Silicon Valley companies to make sure that nothing you do or say can ever go unrecorded. I mean, it's going to be a bonanza for people who want federal money but don't actually want to be scrutinized for the way they're spending it.
And I mean, I'm not saying Trump is perfect, but for people that are against this stuff like FISA, Trump said changes.
Hot take.
I know Trump
Darren
isn't
O
perfect.
does not think Trump is perfect,
but he's fighting this. He said FISA will not re-up the way it is, that extra controls have to be put in to protect, to make sure the kind of stuff that happened, because it happened against him. So, I mean, that was a big part of it, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with FISA. But with this $8.3 billion bill that Ned pointed out, not $8.3 billion bill, about $3 billion, I think, was allocated.
That's called 300 million in rounding error.
Well, but you believe $3 billion for finding a cure. It's like, let me just give you a little hint on how fast medicine works. If you have to find a cure, everybody's going to be dead before you can find the cure. So the $3 billion is really not going to, it's not like, wow, we can find a cure within 15 minutes. Let's just throw all this money at it. The only reason we got lucky, and I talked about this over on the Random Thoughts show, was an Israeli group had already been doing research on a virus. They're looking for a vaccine for their poultry because there was a coronavirus going around with the poultry, I guess. And 4 years they've been studying this. And it turns out the coronavirus that they were studying, trying to find a vaccine for, was almost exactly like this thing coming out of China, to where it seems like they're already in testing on humans. The only thing they had to do was go, genetic marker poultry. Change that to genetic marker human in the vaccine. And they're having some success with it. So this concept, you need $3 billion to find a cure. Whose pockets are getting lined?
In the interest of making sure we live up to our name of spreading vicious conspiracy theory rumors, I'm going to start it. You heard it here first, that the coronavirus, the Wuhan flu, the Wu-Tang flu, whatever.
Hey, the Wu-Tang's a pretty good band. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And they have a kick-ass disease, I'll tell you. That was started because some Chinese person had sex with a chicken. That has to be it. It's the only possible explanation.
I mean, you sure it's a chicken though? I mean, they were saying bats.
Well, you said chicken.
Well, that is in Israel. That's where the coronavirus was, in the poultry.
So a Chinese person went to Israel, had sex with the chicken, and then went back to China and took it. Yeah,
it's
I've
possible.
seen this movie.
I mean, it's possible. There was a story out of, it had to be Wisconsin because, I'm sorry, cheeseheads. Jonathan Brandmeier, actually wacky radio DJ that worked out here. And I did a Random Thoughts about him too. That he actually had a song because he did a bunch of crazy songs and stuff and had a big band and would go out and perform to huge crowds. I mean, we're talking 18, 20,000 people. He has a song. You can find it on the tubes, I'm sure, called Moo Moo, I Love You. And it was about a guy that was caught having sex with a cow. So, I mean, somebody going and having sex with a chicken, probably not completely out of the realm of possibility.
All I'm saying is if you live in sheep country, invest in Velcro gloves.
You do kind of live in sheep country, don't you?
So the other real big advantage to this public panic freakout, especially in this area, is that Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Boeing, big employers in the area, have all strongly encouraged their companies that if you can work from home, please do so for the month of March. I had to drive to Seattle yesterday, which is a problem anytime that you do it. Not just because it's Seattle, which is bad enough, but because I live 30 miles ish. It's a half-hour drive if I can manage it at 3 a.m. But if you do it at anytime when the sun is up, it's an hour. And if you manage to do it at rush hour, it's usually 90 minutes or so, because traffic is just that bad. We're not quite LA. We don't quite have as many people here. But the problem is that we've got a giant body of water to the west and a wall of mountains to the east. And there's only one road going north to south. So everybody's on that road. So traffic in Seattle is world famous, at least for people who've been to Seattle. I tell you what, it took me 30 fucking minutes at 9 a.m. yesterday to get to Seattle. There was nobody on the road.
They're telling everybody to stay home.
Workers are staying home.
Yeah.
No commuters. Oh my God. And what this really brings up is what if these companies actually embraced the concept of work from home? And we could have that discussion as to whether that's feasible or not. But I thought it was fascinating that, if people work from home, that basically instantly solves the traffic problems in the whole region.
It would. And you know what about this whole working from home thing that literally hurt my brain when I saw a news story on this?
Are you okay?
I am. I'll be okay. I'm recovering nicely. But this just shows.
Talking to me has that effect on people.
This shows how bad the media is at their job. I mean, Dr. Drew has already gone after them for how they're covering the coronavirus because they don't understand the medical aspect of it. And I don't expect any normal person to understand the medical aspect of it. But as a journalist, your job is to find out from people that know.
I can give you a really quick rundown on the medical aspect of it. It's another variation of a type of virus. Coronavirus is a class of virus, not just a single one. We've seen it for a long time. It's been around for a long time. We generally understand it pretty damn well. This is another variation, and we don't need $3 billion in the next 15 minutes. Anyways.
Right. Well, and also they're saying, I think, if I read correctly, that some of these cases in Washington state were not the COVID-19. Is that the right number of the coronavirus? It was another coronavirus. So it wasn't even the one out of that was out of China. It's just where these things are spreading from. I don't know, but you're right. Coronaviruses go around. It's just part of the ecosystem of our planet. But as far as the story on the working from home thing, because again, the media has to spread doom and gloom and fear amongst people every story that they tell, because do you know what the fear was?
Because fear sells.
You know what the fear was being sold here? And the problem we were going to face from working from home. Do you have any guess what would be the problem or fear of working from home?
That people might become shut-in incels who never have any interaction with other humans.
No, that they would probably like.
That's already happening is why I was a little hesitant to answer. But
yes, the fear was it would push the internet to the brink because of all that extra traffic.
Oh my God.
People working from home, and I laughed my ass off. I'm like, do you not understand how much freaking data is moved on a high-def movie from Netflix compared to what an average worker would need in a day to work remotely?
Now, if everybody in the world were Netflixing from home, I could see a bump in traffic. But the average remote desktop session does not use that much data.
God, I hate your name, dude. Duodnium says, yeah, the problem is everybody working at home would have porn running on the second monitor 24/7. And that is why the traffic would go up.
What the hell do you think I'm doing here? I've got the 3 monitors. I've got my notes up on one. I've got the troll room up on the other. And the third one has porn. What do you need?
You're doing it right then. But I was scared for the whole. I mean, I already was for the quality of the media out there and what people will believe when they read things. But I just couldn't understand how this somebody actually bought into this. This was like something you would tell a kid and think it would be a joke, like, oh yeah, the internet's going to break because everybody's working from home. And then they go, the sky is falling. And the news agencies picked this up and ran this on a news website. And it's like, you don't understand how the internet works. You don't understand how coronavirus works, but you don't even understand how the internet works. So I don't know.
You do understand that despite however many times the earth has rotated around the sun since they came into existence, regardless of that, by spending the entire 80s, 90s, and aughts not subjecting our children to real world experiences, they still think like a kid. They still think that, local authority, be it mommy and daddy, or if you have succeeded in moving out, it will be, daddy government, can somehow protect you from the world, and therefore we demand that, and we must have it. This is, media causing panics which make everybody run to their local authority and saying, save me, is not new, and it's not unique, but we have successfully managed to raise an entire generation of, I can just be the old man and say everybody younger than me, taking them to real world experiences by not sending them out to their first job at 16 and having, somebody who doesn't give a shit about their feelings tell them that, you know what, you really, really sucked at cleaning this bathroom. Do it again or you're fired. I feel like this is what we are experiencing here is the culmination of, we have taught everybody that you don't need to take personal responsibility. We'll just do it for you. And now when something comes up that not even, our big government can handle, we're like, oh my God, just cower in place. I'm not even sure where I was going with that. It just felt like a rant though.
Well, you get there. But part of that, I saw an article the other day that said the average millennial, and I know we like to pick on them, would leave a burnt out light bulb for approximately 2 to 3 weeks before not changing the light bulb, but asking somebody to help because they don't know how to change the light bulb. And
I don't know. I've got a burnout light bulb in my house that's been burnt out for 15 years.
Is it very hard to get to? Is that the deal?
It is. It's on the ceiling of the vaulted. When I got this house, it has vaulted ceilings, so the highest point it is probably 22 feet off the up.
So you need ladders and one of them big poles.
Yeah, there's this sconce. Like, no, a ladder won't even work. It's in the dead center of the ceiling, and it has 2 bulbs in it, and one of them has been working for 15 years straight, and one was out when I bought the house.
You're like, screw it, that's enough light.
And yeah. Well, I also know how to buy a lamp, which sits on the desk and works and is within reach, and I can change out the bulb.
I know how to light the room in various ways, but you also, most of the stuff on the tubes is crap. I don't even remember where I saw the video the other day, but this was some serious drone skills. I saw a dude who was able to change a light bulb using a drone, like up that high. They had a little pole attached to the thing. It went up, got into the hole, and then he, rotated the drone, and it worked. I was like, holy crap, that's amazing.
Yay. Technology solving problems that people should be able to just handle on their own. This is the future.
We must have drones to change our light bulbs. But to be fair, the millennials don't even know how to change a light bulb when they can reach it. It's like, well, you get the bulb.
That's a highly general statement.
You twist.
I'm sure there's a millennial somewhere that understands how to change a light bulb.
I'm sure there are. But there's probably way more that don't, that might scare you. That's kind of the concept. But
the idea that anybody can't figure out the basics of a light bulb is a little scary. So you're probably right there.
With this $8 billion coronavirus bill, with this coronavirus, I see a big correlation between the coronavirus and global warming. I don't think I'm alone in that, but the way
both of them are overhyped issues that the mainstream media is trying to use to freak out the general public for the purpose of building up political capital and getting bad laws passed.
Yes. Well, it's wanting to get the bad laws passed is a very nice way to say, take away all of your freedoms.
Well, that's what most of the bad laws tend to do. Here's a little hint about government, by the way.
Yeah.
There's only really one trick that the government can do.
Yeah.
The government, they can do two. There's two ways the government can do anything. They can look at a situation, they can do nothing, or they can act. But acting, the government can't give you anything. The only thing government can do is take away your freedoms. Their only power is to set up yet another situation where your rights will be taken away by men with guns if you don't do what we say. That is the only thing that government is capable of doing. They can't give you rights. You are born with all the rights that exist, and the government cannot give you any more. So when somebody's like, I need to solve this problem and I want to use the government, what they're talking about is taking away your rights in some way. And that might just be taking away your money, but they're going to do something that curtails your freedom in order to solve the problem.
Doing it through fear that is the most nefarious thing, I think, when you're going to push this stuff with fear.
Oh, fear, shame, and greed, the three big human motivators. And greed is the one that is responsible for capitalism. It is also the most powerful one, and it's the one that is responsible for pretty much all of the prosperity we've had in the 20th century. But it's a lot harder to control her. If you've got a good propaganda machine spun up, then fear and shame are both fantastic and easy to control and direct wherever you want to.
That's intriguing, because shame is what they were using in China with the system we've talked about for the social score thing that we've talked about on a few episodes. So then you add fear in with, global warming wasn't working. There were still a lot of us who went, no, the science is bull.
There's only so many years you can keep everybody in a constant permanent state of butt puckering fear before they finally start going numb.
Before they realize that the climate isn't dying. The latest Family Guy, I thought it was great. It goes like 50 years into the future, and Stewie is an old man, and Brian, the dog, is somehow still alive, which is impossible because it's a dog. Well, it's a cartoon, and it's all impossible.
Dog, so of course it's possible.
Anything's possible. But the Brian's like, well,
I think Peanuts is 100 years old, and Charlie Brown has never fucking grown up.
Yeah, he's never gotten any Lucy. But when it comes down to,
I wouldn't want that. She's a bitch.
That is true. The concept was, Stewie said, because Brian's like, well, there's so many years. How am I still alive? And Stewie's like, well, I created this special magical potion to keep you alive because I wanted you to see that all of the global warming bullshit you were pushing back in the whatever was not true. And it's like, yes.
Well, I don't think people. I think there are a few people that listen to Grumpy Old Bens who do probably understand that if you look at shit rationally and you start to realize that, no, the climate is not changing, and, all this stuff we're being fed is starting to feel more and more like lies. I don't think that's what's happening to the general public. I think mostly the general public have been fed the fear mongering of this thing or that thing for so long. And any good fear mongering story, take this Wu-Tang flu, the Kung flu, whatever. I hate calling it coronavirus. Yeah, COVID-19. Got it.
Yes.
Every fear story has got a period that it lasts. It's got legs for a while. And I feel like climate change has been milked for so long that eventually people have to get out of the first stage of grief and move on into acceptance. And that's kind of what happens is, I think most of the people out there, when you tell them, oh my God, the earth is going to die, it's going to explode, we've already passed peak oil and peak sun and peak greenhouse gas. And everybody's like, yeah, I get it. We're all fucked. Nobody's going to live past 2040. That's fine.
So party.
I'm just going to live my life now. And most of them are probably permanently depressed. And of course, SSRIs that everybody's on doesn't help. But I think that's what, at least with regard, when you bring up climate change, global warming, I think we've reached a point where most of the people who really buy into this are not being activists for it anymore. So it doesn't have the punch. They're just depressed about it. They're like,
right,
I just can't do anything. And we've been we've been told so long that we're so screwed that I'm powerless. And I mean,
if you want to know why stress levels amongst the young are sky high, as we've never seen before, look at what's going on in the world. Look at the message they were given. I mean, we're old. We say this all the time, like when we were kids, but we got news. Well, we didn't really get news when we were kids because I don't think many of us, before we maybe were in high school, were reading the newspaper for the articles, watching the nightly news. Didn't really care.
I read the newspaper for the pictures.
Yeah, well, for the comics, there you go.
There were pictures. Yeah.
Now.
Also, as soon as you turn 10, you realize every single one of those comics was stupid and unfunny.
Yeah, kind of. And now you look at what these kids are seeing on their screens, popping up alerts and all this stuff. It really is child abuse. But when you have people trying to push a global concept, and I do believe that they went, global warming, they tried to ramp it up. They really tried to ramp it up with the AOC, in 12 years. Putting 12 years on it, they figured, this is going to be long enough to where, we can fudge things a few years down the road. But it's quick enough, it's soon enough that it was going to put fear and terror into people. Like, we have to, 12 years, oh my God, that's not a lot of time. We have to do something.
Well, it is soon enough that it's enough to convince you that it's not worth having kids or a family or starting, creating more humans, because they'll just be dead and you couldn't possibly want to bring a human into the world under such conditions. So, I mean, they've got that going for them, but I think it's just the right amount of time where they honestly believe that, with the cultural swing that is going on, with the dragging of the Overton window off into Karl Marx territory, they can just about get enough people in power that by 2030, it will be all Democrats all the way down and every single one of them will be, Bernie proteges and AOC clones. That's fucking frightening. And then by the time 2020 or 2031 rolls around and some people stop and go, wait a minute, why am I not dead? Then the elites who are pushing this message will be fully in control and it won't freaking matter.
Are you pissed in 12 years if you're still alive? Like, they told me I would be dead.
I'm pissed right now.
The difference with the virus is instead of 12 years, it's like you could die in 12 days. You're going to get hit with this and we're going to cause fear. And all of a sudden, you're right. The first thing you see is massive bill being passed. It worries me when people are making knee-jerk decisions.
The massive bill worries me. The fucking virus doesn't.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
I also...
One's going to be here a lot longer than the other.
Like many people on the internet, I am personally pretty well off because, the news has been saying things like you need to self-isolate. You need to distance yourself from other people so that you don't have a chance of contracting this. And I'm like, I live like a hermit anyway.
Right. You leave the house like once a week and we're safe.
Yeah. And the only human I physically interact with is my wife.
Well, see, but she goes
I don't
out
like the rest of them.
Our wives go out into the world. I mean, I was kidding the other day when I told my wife, it's like, we probably should just build a little, what do you call it?
She works at a call center, which is something you can't really.
Well, yeah, but when she comes home, I think we need like one of those little rooms where you get like sprayed down before you can enter. You need like an airlock before you can come into the actual house, like spray you down, disinfect everything. Keep the bad stuff from us. I just got
automated flamethrowers for that.
That would do a little bit of harm to your wife, I believe, the flamethrower part. But I
haven't quite sold her on this idea yet.
Your mileage may vary, yeah. But yeah, staying away from people is a way to keep the virus from spreading. And then the hope would then be that the bad virus would actually die out, which it does. If it can't keep getting transferred to somebody new, the virus does die. But of course, now you're seeing articles everywhere and people are freaking out like, I'm ordering packages. I mean, I'm getting stuff that was made in China, or I'm getting stuff that's shipped from Amazon. What if the Amazon employee had coronavirus? Or what if the mailman has coronavirus? And how long can this last on a package? And the experts are like, well, I probably not more than like an hour or so when it comes down.
Well, and here's another fun myth is the idea that if you get exposed to this thing, and then 10 minutes later you shake hands with somebody who then suddenly they're infected too. I've actually seen people freak out about, oh, he was out at this gathering and he might have been exposed, and that means I could, he could give it to me. I don't know.
Well, and the
I'm
numbers.
sorry, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a very powerful straw man to argue against, but.
Well, it's the numbers are being inflated because when you say X amount of percent die of something, you have to know how many people have the malady that have actually been exposed to the virus. And there's no way to know that when we're being told that a vast majority, and I think this came right from Dr. Fauci, the guy that's the head of all this stuff.
Yeah, good to be here, bro.
Yeah. The 80 to 85% of the people that are going to get this virus that are going to, it's going to be processed in their body like just a very mild cold or flu. So most of those people never call their doctor, never going to get tested. You're never going to know how many people actually got it. So when you say 5% of the people are dying from it, well, 5% of the cases that are so severe they need medical attention are dying from it. That's a much different number than 5% of all people who have gotten the virus. Because if 80, 85% are going to get it and it's going to be like a cold, you're never even going to notice them. I mean, kids, for some reason, have an immunity to it, which is interesting because the flu usually hits the really young and really old. So the fact that it's not hitting kids is weird.
Not every virus can be Ebola that causes you to bleed from your eyes, but when they've got a substandard virus that isn't killing everybody like they really need it to, you just have to make people free. What was last year it was the measles. Before that it was Zika. Before that, we had SARS, we had MERS, we had the swine flu, bird flu, penis flu.
You might have had that. I don't. I've never had that.
Yeah, it caused some weeping.
But it's the case
there was
of getting fear. I mean, when you look, it's sad, but we've been trained, I guess, by No Agenda that when you see this story on the coronavirus, you don't go, "Oh wow, this is a huge tragedy and people are going to die and I should be worried." You're going, "What narrative does this really help?" That's like the first question.
When people die, it is a tragedy. But it's not my tragedy, which means that I have the ability to feel an appropriate amount of sympathy, which if I knew the person is probably quite a bit. And if I didn't know the person, be like, well, that's unfortunate, and then move on. But what I don't have the capability of feeling is whatever this manufactured freak out is that some talking face on a mainstream news channel is trying to make me feel. It doesn't matter what kind of human tragedies are going on. You should not consent to being psychologically and emotionally manipulated by people in a talking box.
Well, yeah. And our buddy Jay Finley in the troll room, the chat room we use during these live recordings Friday mornings, 11 a.m., noagendastream.com, said when they were at O'Hare here in Chirac, well, just outside of Chirac, in beautiful, lovely Rosemont, Illinois, there was a lady and her husband coughing uncontrollably. Another couple sitting 2 seats away, he said, got up and relocated to another row. And he said him and his wife just sang My Corona, which is, I mean, the Knack needs to come back and redo that song. But if you're out there in public, I mean, the concept that you're going to be able to get away from it, especially if you're flying. I mean, if you're willing to get on a plane, then somebody coughing, especially if they're getting on the same plane you are, I mean, you're kind of screwed anyway.
Phone Boy mentioned in the troll room said that he, coronavirus has changed, keeping him home. He says he's fine, but he hasn't seen the inside of an airplane for a month. And I'm like, that feels like a minimum. I don't know. I saw the inside of an airplane a month and a half ago.
Well, I mean, you had to get home from Hawaii because you weren't going to swim.
Nobody was coughing on me. Nobody gave me any frightful diseases, but I still hated it for the entire experience. And if you want to know more about that, go listen to our episode on air travel. But suffice it to say, the situation aboard an airplane, regardless of whatever the local whatever the current pandemic is going on, the situation inside of an airplane is borderline inhuman treatment. Airplanes, they are shaped like, look like, and behave a little bit like coffins, and they certainly feel like that. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're getting viruses.
What do you usually do? I mean, my wife, every time we travel, seems to pick up something, and I'm assuming the flying part is not helpful to that situation. But this, again, is the fear that you have. I mean, there are people that should definitely be isolated if you have pre-existing health issues, if you're well over the age of 60.
Everybody who comments on YouTube videos.
Everybody that comments on YouTube videos should isolate themselves.
Yes.
I can't disagree with that. But the risk factors, even with these doom and gloom numbers that are coming out, the risk factors for people that are under 60 years old, especially those under 50 years old, without pre-existing conditions, it's next to nothing. So the fact that people are changing the whole way they live, you're seeing stories that the NBA may ban fans from the games, which, I mean, maybe is better. I don't know.
Well, I that would just be finishing what they've been doing by having awful policies.
Yeah, just
the MLB could learn something from that, except that they don't need to tell people to stay home. They're doing it anyway.
Yeah, bring it to fruition. Well, that happened when they had the problems in Baltimore a few years ago. The White Sox and the Orioles played a game at Camden Yards without a crowd. It was the weirdest thing, to watch that.
Well, is that because both teams sucked, or was there extenuating circumstances?
It was because of the violence going on in Baltimore that they decided they weren't going to they weren't opening the gates.
I heard a podcast recently about how NASCAR are actually removing seats from their. I don't know if you heard the same podcast or not.
I not only heard it, I produced it and starred in it and funded it. With help from the producers.
Yeah.
It was the surprise. I mean, I knew that places like here in just outside of Chirac, our track is in Joliet, and I talked about having season tickets for that when it opened up, and people were really excited when this track was opening up. And they opened up, I mean, the numbers may be slightly wrong, but I believe they opened up with 75,000 seats, with the press being that, well, within 10 years, they're going to build this up to like 150,000 or whatever. They were going to continue adding grandstands. And the place sold out for a few years. Well, it started going the other way. And Daytona, I mean, that's the birthplace of speed. That's the big track when it comes down to NASCAR racing. Taken out, if I remember the numbers correctly, I think it was they used to have 159,000 seats, and now they have 101. So they've almost downsized by a little more than about a third, which that's a lot of revenue. That's a lot of tickets. That's a lot of lost fans. And it's not just NASCAR. The Oakland A's, who don't seem like they're ever getting a new stadium, but the plans that they wanted for a new stadium had way less seats than their old stadium did, which the only place that seems to want to keep staying large is the Yankee Stadium, who rebuilt with about the same capacity. But all the other teams are like, well, we don't really need 40,000 seats. I mean, we're only using like 20 of them. So,
well, eventually, what the MLB would love, the ideal thing is they just do all the games on a sound stage and then beam it into everybody's play.
That will be the way it's going to go at some point.
If they can get the broadcast rights, and in fact, if they can get some bad legislation that forces everybody to take the MLB channel, that I might be off my.
Well, they're
I might be out in
already
left field here.
They're already doing the bit where you can't bring in bags when you go to these games. They're already doing the bit where you have to go through a metal detector or get frisked going through. So is it really that unbelievable to think that at some point, under these fears of coronavirus, that you're going to get to the gate and you're going to have one of these little isolation areas where you're going to have, instead of, before you have to go through the metal detectors with the police and the security, you'll have medical personnel who are, using the little ear, thermometers to get your temperature. Oh, you've got a low fever. You can't come in.
I wouldn't be, except they won't use thermometers. That's too invasive. They'll come up with some kind of technology like automated, face recognition already has the ability to to decide who you are from glancing at your face. All you have to do is connect an infrared thermometer to those cameras. And then they'll be like, well, this person's out. He's in the database. This person's out because they have a temperature of 99.2.
You really think the man's worried about being too invasive with a quick ear scan? I'm surprised they don't lay it down on the table.
I think they are worried about efficiency and how many people. You see, if they have to have a human being stick a thermometer up your butt for every single fan, then it really slows down getting people into the stadium. And they need, and more importantly, in order to keep get everybody into the stadium on time, they would need to hire 3 times as many people. Hiring those people costs money, and they are averse to spending extra money when, if you save money and keep your budget high, you can pocket it. That's important.
Well, you may have to just insert your own anal probe and register with the MLB app before you go to the ballpark.
Okay. We'd like you to sit down on this special chair right here. Okay. You're going to feel a little pinch.
Right. Tri-Husker said then you have to pay $32 for a 16-ounce Coors Light. And nobody wants
16. I think they lowered it to 14.
Maybe. Although I got a good deal the other day. I was, sometimes it pays to read your local grocery store's ad. They had cases of Guinness. I mean, I don't drink beer a whole lot, but I do prefer Guinness and Smittix. Those are the two I kind of dig. With St. Patrick's Day coming up, they had the Guinness bottles, $12 for a 12-pack. And if you bought over $15.01 of groceries, I don't know why the 1 cent was important, but there's a $10 rebate from Guinness. So $12 worth of beer minus 10, $2 for 12 Guinnesses. It'll be a good St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. I could see me buying that and then, having to buy another one tomorrow.
Right. How many rebates can I have and how many friends' addresses can I use? There's going to be a check for $10 in my name coming to your address.
Friends, fuck you. You can't have my Guinness. I'm drinking it all.
Well, I just mean you were going to use their names to get the rebates.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So
multiple addresses. So yeah,
well,
cheap
you don't
beer is
need
good.
Friends. You can, in today's world of deep fakes, you can just make up new people.
I know.
I was like every time that I went to the store, when they're like, please enter your phone number for tracking purposes. And half the time I just enter a random phone number and it worked.
It's like, okay, sure.
You start with the local area code, or the area code of, say, New York City or something. But it often works. By the way, the one thing that you should never ever do when you need to check out in supermarket, they're like, please enter your phone number, because nobody carries the fucking cards with them. That's stupid. Is they all expect you to enter 10 digits into the pad, and 10 digits needs to correspond to something in the database. And for me, I live in the 425 area code. So half the time I will enter 425-867-5309, because I guarantee somewhere somebody has registered that number and there are thousands of people using it.
Yeah,
which
Jenny,
means
very popular. 867-5309.
Use your local area code if you don't want them to raise suspicion. Be like, wait a minute, why are you out of area? But what do they care? First of all, the person who's scanning your groceries does not give a crap. They're making minimum wage and they are not paid enough to care whether or not you're scamming their employer.
When you're buying
whatever.
Nothing but alcohol and feminine hygiene products, just use the Hug Story number.
That is a great idea.
Imagine
just
ads.
Use the Hug Story number.
Just imagine the ads they'll start getting. Congratulations.
In fact, really, for whatever you do, just use the Hug Story number.
Yes, that we should try that. I would like to know if anybody has a problem.
I don't think that you could. I don't think with those products you could change what Hog Story gets. I think that Fletcher probably already orders all of that anyway.
That's probably right on the mark.
So, anyways,
yeah,
I didn't come here today to talk about coronavirus.
You didn't? What did you come here today for? I mean, I know you're doing like Larry, the Larry Show. That Larry Show just did an episode on digital detox, and you're telling me you're going away from all connectivity for 3 days?
3 days. I mean, it's not much of a detox. In fact, I will probably shut down my computer just to prove that I can, but that's about as far as we're going off the grid. We're going we're driving up a volcano. In fact, the volcano in question is is Mount St. Helens. Some people may have heard of it.
Yeah.
It hasn't exploded recently, so we figure it's probably safe to go to the side of it and camp. And, when we go out there, I'm going to shut off my phone because there are no cell towers and it'll just say battery. That probably would destroy the minds of a lot of people, but yeah, I'm going to be completely unavailable and it's going to be fucking fantastic.
You can just relax. No bloops.
Also,
no
it's
beeps.
still winter and it's above the tree line. It's going to be cold as shit.
And you like camping when it's cold as shit?
Well, I like camping. The temperature of the shit is not as important.
A little hunting, a little fishing, or just going out there to be one with nature. What kind of animals they got out there? I mean, are you worried about bears or anything up there?
They've got me. What else should I be worried about?
Bears. Attention bears in the Mount St. Helens area. A Sir Bemrose sighting in your area means you should probably self-isolate and stay home.
And Bemlet will be there too. And there will be alcohol involved, so you need not worry about me.
Leave the chainsaws at home.
Actually, there will be a chainsaw there too. You gotta build a fire somehow.
A drunk Bemlet, a chainsaw, off the grid. Are you finally just trying to get rid of them entirely? Were you still pissed about that one episode?
It didn't work the last time.
Yeah, true. He's resilient. That's too bad.
The last time we got a drunk Bemlet with the chainsaw, he managed to sever an artery, but that was as close as it came. And really, I mean, we can keep trying, but how many times before it reaches the definition of insanity?
He really did sever an artery?
I don't know if there was an artery involved. He really did hit himself with the chainsaw.
Well, okay, he's not dead, so maybe not the artery. But what did you come here to talk about today on Grumpy Old Ben's episode 53? We're way past beta now.
I actually thought about talking about privacy.
We have been a little.
Well, not very much. In particular, privacy in schools. There was what started me on this rabbit hole was a school district in New York, which adopted facial recognition to monitor their students.
Well, it's for their convenience.
And last year when a school in Queens added microphones with algorithms to try to detect aggressive behavior, which the great thing was they got false positives from people coughing, somebody like, and somebody thought it was shouting and yelling. So the algorithm alerted the authorities, tried to get people to storm this classroom because somebody coughed.
Well, it could be coronavirus, so it might be good to have the authorities there.
Yeah, well, that depends on whether or not you think those authorities are working for you or working for someone else.
They ain't working for me, man.
The rabbit hole I ended up going down is that there are a number of companies out there that, they offer services to school districts to effectively, do the kind of things that we have civil rights to prevent. You remember back in 2013 when Edward Snowden gave his big leak that showed, hey, the government is watching everything you do. And everybody's like, oh my God, not that anything happened with it or anybody freaked out or anybody even, who trusted the government before ever stopped trusting them afterward. But this stuff that they're doing just out in public in schools is even worse. It's not just they're using facial recognition so that this is revolutionary. You don't have to take attendance anymore because you just have your camera pointed at the classroom. Be like, yep, everybody's here except this person. Make sure that you call the truancy police, or the recordings, the microphones. There are separate companies that the school will pay the company, and the company will watch every student's social media account and flag anything that they say that could be a concern or potentially aggressive, or if somebody uses the word gun on Facebook, then this company will automatically flag it and send a report to the principal.
So this is beyond just in-school surveillance. This is monitoring students 24/7.
This is monitoring everything about students.
Do these students get laptops or tablets from the school too that they can bring home conveniently with them?
Sometimes the school provides laptops. Other times the school is actually demanding that you install an app on your personal phone so that they can track everything you do. And we've talked many times on Grumpy Old Ben's about what kind of invasive, horrible things that can happen if an untrustworthy app is installed on your phone. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. Is they're basically saying, if you don't install this app, you can't come to school. there's there's one called Gaggle. No, the names of these things: Social Sentinel, Go Guardian, Securely, Gaggle. And there's one called Bark. These sound sufficiently dystopian already. But there's one particular app that I ended up finding out about that. It basically says if in order to go to this school, you have to install this app and you have to install a root certificate on your phone. Well, that pretty much gives the app the ability to install anything they want, to root your phone, to control all of your devices, to turn all of your devices on and off without you finding out about it, to spoof your phone, to spoof any websites you go to. One of the things they actually advertise that they use, went to this company's site, is that they filter any websites that you visit. So if there are websites that are on their list of sites that thou shalt not visit, which almost certainly includes shit like porn and probably piracy and whatever else that the school doesn't want you to have, they filter that. They probably send you to alternate social networks. You try to go to facebook.com and they'd be like, my school's Facebook, just because that's one that they can keep safe. The amount of privacy invasion being done to our kids is utterly ridiculous. It is the kind of thing that civil rights lawsuits are made to combat. But because it's for the kids, this stuff is just going under the radar. It kind of blew me away.
Well, yeah, it's going on in our audience. Jay Finley in the troll room mentions that the last 2 years of his daughter's high school, they forced her to take home a Chromebook and sent home a letter that said contract between child and school, all about what she couldn't do, plus all of the monitoring, including the camera.